cars. Start your engines!
Ready. Green flag, green flag. All rolling. Stay in. Come on. See you later. These guys are really good. Keep digging. Stay in the gas. Hang on, dude, baby. Did not hit a thing. Why are you waiting so long, man? Bottom's clear, shaking you down here. White flag, hit your mark.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the final NWP Wednesday night of 2024. I am your host this week, Eric Eastep, joined by the usual duo of Jarrett Lundberg, aka the Iceberg, and Danny B. Danny B Talks. This is going to be a wild one. We've had so much happen in the past 7 days. Championship weekend, plenty of controversy as a result. We'll get you guys all situated for the upcoming off season. But I think it's right that we start the show, Danny, Jarrett, by remembering one of the first guests this podcast ever had, NASCAR Hall of Famer, legend of American stock car racing. Bobby Allison tragically passed away earlier this weekend. Very sad. I think there was a lot of folks who sort of thought maybe the writing was on the wall with how NASCAR chose to honor his Bowman Gray victory a few weeks back. Looking back now, I think that moment's even more special, knowing that he got to experience one more triumph late in his life. Bobby Allison,
you got to know that, yes, I did win that race.
Absolute legend. Some great closure there. I don't know, gentlemen, if you have anything else you want to add. Like I said, he was one of our first guests. I remember how giddy we all were to have the opportunity to talk to a NASCAR Hall of Famer. We were just kids doing this show, and the idea that an American racing legend would spend even 10 minutes talking to us was crazy.
How did it end, Jared? Like, I can't hear what you guys saying. I gotta go. Bye.
Yeah. So he had forgotten that we were going to do the interview, which, he was still a busy man. Like he was at the racetrack. He was doing stuff. Well, I wanted to bring up, kind of the behind the scenes of that whole thing. Because the behind the scenes, I think, of that interview, we've never really been fully transparent of like how we prepared for it, all of the different ways like we got together.
What was the year? Was that 2018?
2018.
So this phone right here,
there it is.
First call on this phone was from Bobby Allison. So we had gotten the okay, like from him, and his daughter was running a lot of the social media at the time for the interview. And so like, awesome, and then I get a text on, I think, Friday, like, hey, he's going to call you this weekend, so just be ready. It'll be this area code and this. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And behind the scenes is I had a family get together, and this, like, I can't remember if I think it was like this 2-year-old kid, he fell into the pool, and I just jumped in with all my clothes on, not thinking like I have my phone in my pocket, all this other stuff. I get him out, and I realize I'm like, oh crap, this thing is fried. So I have to get a new phone.
You didn't try the like rice in the microwave?
We tried it. It's a brick. I mean, I still have it just for some sentimental reason. So like, get it, and I'm sitting on the back porch with my parents, and I get this call, and I'm like, oh my god. Answer the phone. I go inside, answer the phone. Hi, is this Jarrett? I'm like, yes, sir. Is this Bobby Allison?
And his voice doesn't sound that confident. He's like, yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like a pipsqueak church mouse, but he was so cool to me because like he called me, I think, twice beforehand, just like,
to prepare, to confirm. Like, that's how kind of genuine he was. Someone who'd accomplished as much as he had, and it, obviously was still busy, but was more or less out of the sport the way he was, to still give just randos like you, like us, the time of day. I mean, gosh.
And the interview didn't go perfect. We didn't have like the setup we have now or any of that stuff. And we were
still on Google Hangouts at that time.
Yes, and we were woefully unprepared for such a big moment. But it was awesome, and it was really cool. And there was a question I asked during that. I said that a friend, because I didn't want to say who it was until later. I was like, a friend wanted me to ask about your run-ins or like rivalry or relationship with Dale Earnhardt. Well, a few weeks before the interview at Chicagoland, I actually met Dale Earnhardt Jr. and I'm like, hey, I'm interviewing Bobby Allison, and I'm like, I'd be remiss not to ask like what question would be a good question that no one would think of. And he like sat there for a second. He's like, ask him about everything with my dad. Like, he'll go off about something, whether it's good or bad. And I'm like, yes, sir. When, you're Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm going to say whatever you tell me to ask him. And he, Dale Jr. probably never watched that interview. And if he did, he probably laughed at it. I wouldn't blame him. We laugh at it today. But it was such a cool moment for us that, again, somebody of that stature would be willing to talk to a bunch of slappies by every sense of the name. Like, we were in no way anywhere where we are now, but it's like he didn't care if you were a 20-year-old kid wanting to talk to him. He'd talk to you. If you were somebody on at the NBC, I think he showed up to the Dover race that year. He'd show up and just talk to you, whatever. Like, they'd have to pull him. I saw him screen.
I think it was a year later. I want to say he was at Talladega signing autographs in the infield, and I was like, wow. So, I mean, a legend on and off the track, a titan of stock car racing that will certainly be missed. Obviously, the Allison family has played such a crucial role throughout NASCAR history. So I figured it would be smart to begin the show. It would be fitting, I think, to begin the show by I'm glad you shared that sort of behind the scenes, detailed story there, Jarrett, but just honoring the legend that is Bobby Allison. But with that being said, gentlemen, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We do have over 500 concurrent viewers. We've gotten a bunch of super chats, which we will cover at the beginning or at the first super chat stage break, roughly an hour in.
Yeah, we'll cover at the beginning right now. Here, let's go.
We'll get them out. We'll just bang it out right here.
We'll do it live.
Our light goal of 600, which if we hit that mark, will unlock Jarrett's random driver of the week segment. Danny needs this one because he's got to at least tie for some sort of NWP overtime.
I need this one more than Tennessee needs to find a miracle against Georgia this weekend, but that's not going to happen.
But I think now we can get into Phoenix. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off more or less. Joey Logano wins the championship, his third NASCAR Cup Series title, all since 2018, all under the NASCAR playoff elimination style format. He gets it done, held off his teammate Ryan Blaney in the closing laps. And NASCAR fans, young and old, online, in person, have been in uproar. I'm not sure anyone knows exactly what to do with themselves this week. Joey Logano was, I believe, 15th in the regular season standings when the playoffs began. He was the 9 seed when the reseeding, when the playoffs points reset. He was eliminated briefly at the end of the round of 12. Until Alex Bowman got disqualified. He was able to get the 8th and final transfer spot that way. Won the round of 8 opener at Las Vegas on fuel mileage to clinch a spot in the championship for Team Penske. Has had Phoenix figured out the past few years. No one was very surprised to see Penske run 1-2 at the end of that race. But gentlemen, do we want to start? I don't know how we want to do this. I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Jarrett, because I don't want to mix up the two different arguments. There are two topics here this week. One, is Joey Logano's championship legitimate, illegitimate, however you want to define it? And then the second argument is, what should we do with the playoff format going forward? I do think those in many ways are two separate conversations, but maybe we can have them at the same time. I don't know. Jarrett, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I think we're going to just navigate it as we go.
Let's see what happens.
I mean, I said was it June was the first episode after he won in Nashville, maybe July, can't remember. A while ago. I had said then I didn't think he should be in the playoffs. I held that statement through all the way through after the race on Sunday. Just more or less, if you're wanting to crown a champion and champion by, I guess it's purest form, if you will. I don't know the right way you'd put it. I don't think Joey Logano should have been there. Under the format, though, he won it. I just want to make one thing abundantly clear, because I every time I say this, there's already some brain dead takes in the chat about this. I don't hate Joey Logano. I don't blame him whatsoever for the position he was in. He played the system the way it was meant to be played. It is not Joey Logano's fault that the system is the way it is, and Joey Logano for that will be a 3-time champion, should be put down in that way. How it's perceived, that's up for everybody to determine. I think we're having plenty of people talk about it this week. I personally think it is, based on the format itself, I think was personally weaker. Statistically, he is the worst champion ever. There's statistically on a season.
Real quick on that note, my argument would be, yes, you could argue Logano's championship is weaker than, say, compare him to other 3-time champions. Some of Tony Stewart's championship runs, you would argue he put together a more consistent body of work through the entire season. Or even the year he didn't, which was 2011, he won 5 out of 10 playoff races. Like, Logano still won 3 of the last 10. I'm not going to say what he did in the playoffs wasn't nothing. Like, he did something, but it wasn't as impressive as what Tony Stewart did. But I would argue more so, we can argue weaker, stronger championship runs, but comparing Logano to other multi-time champions, I think you just have to acknowledge that they are different. Like, Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson have 7 championships each, but you can't tell me their championships look anything alike. They don't look anything alike whatsoever. They both won their championships against completely different competition in completely different formats, but we put them on the same level. And I actually don't think that's necessarily fair. I mean, it's fair, but there's a deeper conversation to be had when you dive into the competition Dale Inman and Richard Petty were up against versus what Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson were asked to do. Like, if we go year by year, I think some of Jimmy's championships are more impressive, and maybe some of Petty's championships are more impressive. So when we talk about Logano, yes, in some cases his championship run is weaker than others, but more than anything, it's just important to acknowledge that no 2-3-time champions are exactly the same. Like, Logano's not the same as David Pearson, who's not the same as Tony Stewart, not the same as Lee Petty. That's the argument I've attempted to make this week. Whether you feel one is weaker or stronger, that's fine. But it's important to acknowledge that championships today are simply different than 20 years ago or 60 years ago.
And that's why I separate Logano from the conversation of the championship, because the problem for me this week is that there has been, especially from those who should have nuance, no nuance whatsoever. And what that's I mean fair. Is the biggest voices out there, the biggest ones, whether it be TV voices, whether it be people that are big in the industry, whatever it might be, are trying to conflate the two because they're trying to more fight against the fans than defend the champion themselves. Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, they all played under the same rules. It is the championship, as it was set going in. The question, I think, is it shouldn't be on the drivers. It should be on the system. And I hate that. I said this on Sunday night. Joey Logano, to me, will be remembered as way worse than he actually is, because Joey Logano, to me, already, I think, is in, 20. I had to double check on the all-time wins list, but I believe he's like 24th or something all-time, tied with Brad Kay at 36 wins. Tied for 24th. He's ahead of guys like Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Dale Jarrett, Kyle Larson, Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., like a lot of people who are either in the Hall of Fame or going to be Hall of Famers. And because of the conversation around the system, we're not acknowledging how good he has been. And like it or not,
that's fair.
He is a clutch driver, whether in a season format, whether in just a one race kind of thing. And that's not even championship, just in general. I mean, you look at a lot of the wins in his career, and he is a very clutch driver. And there is a thing to that. I get that it's not 1-to-1 with stick and ball sports clutch, but there is a clutch factor in racing. Every great driver has had that. Every driver who has fallen short to that next level, below that, like a Mark Martin or a Denny Hamlin, maybe doesn't have it the same way as a Joey Logano, a Dale Earnhardt, a Richard Petty, a Jimmy Johnson. So I want to make it known that I don't want the hate going to Joey. I don't think he deserves the hate. If there's any hate or criticism, I think it should go towards the sanctioning body. And I think the TV networks too, because I think they have a huge part to play in all of this.
That's probably true.
Joey Logano is unfairly getting hated because, granted, he has earned the hate in the past and how he's driven on the track. Joey Logano does plenty of things to get himself hated.
I think it's
under
fair
a system being put in is not one of those things.
I think it's at least fair to say Yeah, I think you take any driver, you look at the body of work they put together this year. If they win the championship the way Logano did, it would be called into question. But I do think there's at least a small percentage that is the uproar has been increased because it is Joey Logano and he doesn't have exactly the best reputation. I think he used to probably be the second or third most booed driver. He probably is number one now that Kyle Busch drives a Chevy. So
And
he
Denny's
is
more liked now too.
yeah, and some like Danny gets some more, especially with the lawsuit. I feel like
And
Denny's
he's
almost
becoming
like
like the anti-hero now.
he's
So
Yes.
a marauder or something
I,
like that.
I've got some, Joey Logano about numbers here. I've got some numbers to share with y'all. And the thing is with
Oh,
Joey, like, yeah, I think the argument there is, yeah, his championships look weak compared to a Dale Earnhardt's, championships, to compared to a Jeff Gordon's championships. Um, it looks weaker than majority of Jimmy Johnson's championships because that's still done in a format where, okay, here's a 10 race run where you got to have a consistency, and Jimmy still showed up for that 10 race run. But to Joey's credit, I can't fault him for playing a system. That's
Mhm.
not really his fault. You want the man to just not do what he's supposed to. I can't really fault him for that either. But here's the thing with Joey. He's 34 years old. People think, he's been around for a long time. He's been around for 16 years. So he's been in Cup Series for 16 years. He's only 34 years old. He could go longer. He really could. He's still he keeps himself in great shape. The man could drive longer if he really wants to. I mean, I know we don't see it as much anymore, but there used to be drivers who drove into their 50s. He may very well do that. He's drove 16 years. If he does another 16 years, he's a 50-year-old driver. Did you guys know that? So, that's the thing of Joey. If you take he's been to Cup Series. Oh, bye, Eric.
Keep going, Danny. Get on your roll.
If you take Joey been in the Cup Series for 16 years, and you divide that by his 3 championships, he averages a championship every 5 1/3 of a year. But got to remember, from 2017 forward is when we had more of the system we're in now. Yeah, we've had this system technically since I think 2014, but it changed in a big way in 2017 when we added stage points and other things into it. So that's really the point that I go off of now is the 2017 season. So going off of that, 2018, the year he won his first one, that was just 7 years ago. You take these 7 years divided by 3 championships, he's averaging a championship every 2 1/3 of a year. It's not mathematically impossible for Joey Logano to become a 7-time champion. And that's a dangerous fact that NASCAR fans aren't ready for.
And I think it's a dangerous fact that NASCAR isn't ready for. I mean,
Yeah.
no matter which direction they go with championship formats, with what they say is a good season, qualifications, all of that, fans are going to view it how fans view it. And legacies can be made in part by the media, which I think the media is working overtime in defense of every way of him and system. But the fans at the end of the day will judge that. And if that's the case and you have possibly a one day 4th 7-time champion being put into question, especially if they're all under this format, I personally don't think it will go that far. I think NASCAR will make changes because NASCAR is scared of dominance, I think, at least by their actions. I think that's really dangerous when it comes to a huge portion of NASCAR history as a whole. And that I don't think that's something that NASCAR wants to deal with.
Personally,
Eric got back to us, by the way. His computer restarted. He'll be right back really soon. His computer restarted off on the middle of nowhere. It's not even the Wi-Fi. It's just the computer decided, man, I don't really feel like it.
Personally, I put these 3 championships as they stand now definitely below Tony winning it twice in the old way, once in the midway, if we'll call that now, because now we're in the new way. So Tony twice in the old way, once in the midway. And then you got guys like Kel Yarbrough, DW, 3-time champion.
Yes.
So you got guys like that. I got to put Joey below it for now. If he can find a way to finesse this and he just keeps growing that championship, well, then technically he's just playing into the way the sport is. And that's not necessarily his fault per se on that. Of the 7-time champions, I think I give most credit to Dale Earnhardt being more impressive the way he did it. I got to applaud Jimmy, though, because he found – a way to go 5 years in a row in the midway. And then another time, some guys threw him off for a little bit, but he came back and he found a way to win it in a new way too. So, I think it's pretty impressive on Jimmy's part. But Joey, he's found a system here that, to no fault of his own, I can't get mad at him because he knows how to do it.
I'm willing to stir the pot right now with the chat really quick. A Y for yes, N for no. Will Joey Logano surpass Jeff Gordon in championships? I'm willing to stir the pot, and you can't. I'm sorry, a lot of people are thinking that's alien. He'll never win again, all that. But
I'll just say yes. I think he'll be a 5-time champion at least. Honestly,
I mean, it's very possible that happens, especially. We're all kind of banking that Homestead 2026 and all of that, but that's still that nothing is confirmed by that. The city has to.
And even if they go back to Homestead, I mean, Joey's good there. He's won there. He can still do that. I mean, It's just a system.
Yeah, there's no reason that I think. By the way, I'm putting us back into the positions we were in, and it's like a musical chairs.
What is going on? Where's my camera? Can y'all even hear me?
We can hear
you, but we don't see you.
You're at the gray screen of death right now.
Oh my gosh. Zoom is crashing. This is bad, y'all.
You unfortunately missed me going into the math of Joey Logano.
I'll be back. Sorry, guys. Give me a minute.
This is actually...
Well, I can't even leave. My Zoom is frozen. I can't even leave.
Well, let me see.
No.
The thing is, if I kick you out, I don't know.
Manager and force quit out.
Yeah, because if I kick you out, since I'm the host, I don't know if it will allow me to let you back in.
Yeah, do task manager and force quit Zoom.
But the funny thing is, we've actually had this happen before. The first season finale in season 1, it took an hour to get me in because of a glitch in then Google Hangouts. So,
if you want to put me back in Eric's spot for now, we can at least be side by side.
Yeah, well. Equals, yay! No, it keeps putting me down. So the chat
did that for me too when I moved it.
It's just seeing musical chairs. But I mean, we saw in the chat a lot of people saying why it's instead of N on this. Like a lot of people think that is a realistic thing that could happen, and I don't think people are even ready for him to tie, let alone pass Jeff Gordon, because like it or not, Jeff Gordon is NASCAR royalty. Like did our when we did our top 75 lists last year, and Jeff Gordon, I know for a couple, I think of us was second. The chat and the voters put him top 3. I mean, he is a legitimate Mount Rushmore driver, and like it or not, especially those in more of the big brass NASCAR media, like they will put Joey Logano in that category with Richard Petty, with Dale Earnhardt, with Jimmy Johnson, with Jeff Gordon. I don't think people are ready for that. I don't think NASCAR is ready for that, because I think the blowback will only continue. Like it'll only continue until people just step away or stop watching in general. And I think we got him back. Let's see. Is he returning? Yeah, we got him.
There he is.
There he is. Welcome back. Can you hear us?
Oh, now we can't hear you. Oh my gosh.
It's all right. We'll get there.
What a disaster. Okay, we're back.
Yes.
I am so sorry. This was supposed to be an intense conversation, and it has been absolutely dissolved by.
Well, Dan, you want to rope him in to the conversation?
I have no idea what was said for the last 10 minutes. I have no clue.
So we just talked about how we're all hailing to Joey Logano supremacy, and we are in the era of Shell Pennzoil now, and we must bow before Joey Logano now.
This is what happens when I leave. A cult is formed. This is what happens when there's no strong leadership at the.
I asked the chat why for yes and for no, and I want to know your thoughts on this, because I think both Danny and I think, especially if it's like Homestead or Phoenix as the finale, and the system, if it does not get changed in a huge way, does Joey Logano surpass Jeff Gordon in championships? He's one away from tying. He's 34.
So you think, will he get to 5, basically?
Will he get to at least 5? Yes.
And consider this. I did the math. So he started winning championships in 18. That's been only 7 years ago. He's averaging 2 1/3 championships per year since then. Sorry, 2 1/3 years per championship.
I was about to say, yeah, wait a second. But I know that's, and how old is he? 34, 35?
34. And he's been in the Cup for 16 years. If he goes another 16, he's 50.
I mean, he realistically could be at prime condition if he does a Kevin Harvick for another decade.
I don't think he gets to 5. I think he gets to 4. I could absolutely see him getting to 4. I don't think he gets to 5.
Even if he,
If now, what was the question? If Phoenix stays the championship for the
Phoenix,
foreseeable future and the
Phoenix or
format doesn't
Homestead, 'cause
change,
he's good at Homestead too. I mean,
I think there's other guys better.
It's
at
like,
but he
Homestead.
won in
here's the thing.
2018 over Truex, Busch, Harvick, all them. Like
There's
it's
there's
not
guys in
out of
Cup
the
today who
question.
are. It's not, but there's guys in Cup today that are better at Homestead than those
Like,
3 guys are. Well, maybe
if
not
he
Truex.
continues to make the championship four every even year, and even though he
Oh, wait.
he messed it up by winning this year, even if he only won every 4 years, let's see,
Election year Logano.
that would be 2028 and then 2032. That's still be in that prime age range for him. Even if he done that, he could do it.
I mean, it's certainly plausible, but I find it I find it unlikely. Sorry, I got a lot going on now. There's a lot going on my end.
You're good
Give
over
me
here.
just a second. Give me just a second. I have to leave again.
Well, that's fine. I was actually going to spin off the conversation, Jarrett, a little bit on Joey Logano some more, and I have to now wonder. You got to think back. He started in Cup in 2009, replacing Tony Stewart when he went to start SHR, which is very ironic now to think about it. The replacement of Tony Stewart matched Tony Stewart in championships the year that his team goes away. That's very ironic now. But anyways, so he starts racing in Cup at 18. And granted, we haven't seen too many young guys come in that young to Cup in a while. But is he the template for why you want to start guys in Cup young, like a Carson Hocevar, to get him a ton of experience early on before molding and growing into this driver that Joey's become?
I don't know about that, because I think he is a driver that is separate from the majority of drivers. Like, Joey Logano, even with that, like, let's just put it at what was. He sucked at JGR for the most part. Like, yeah, he got a couple wins, but it was not like he was dominating. It wasn't like he's any good. There goes Eric again. He's just had enough of the Joey Logano-ness.
We're just occupying his channel tonight.
but like, I wouldn't say he's necessarily that, because he wasn't really all of that competitive until he got into like his early to mid 20s. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I get like the idea of that, but he wasn't even really, I would say, chase caliber till he got to Penske in 2013. That was the first year that I'm like, okay, like there might be something here. Like a lot of people labeled him like a bust after 2012, because he was just a mid-pack driver until that point. So I wouldn't even say he's like the template for why you need to start him young, why you need to like force drivers up there. But I think he's an interesting case in that. I think we can kind of shift, once we get Eric back in here, we can get his take on it. But I think we can kind of shift to the format side of it, because that is going to take up that's going to take up the airwaves the entire off season, and the fact that NASCAR, oh man, I'm still getting over that cold. NASCAR is acknowledged it now. NASCAR media is in overdrive. A lot of them, just gung-ho defending the system and everything like that. But NASCAR's talked about, tinkering and tweaking it here and there and stuff like that. But giving a lot more leeway than I think they've given since, I would actually argue, probably 2014 even, because there really wasn't much talk about it before 2017 compared to what we have right now. I could say, and I heard it from multiple people after Martinsville, and they had talked about this before Martinsville, that like NASCAR was going to take a look at the system after this year, one way or another, and a lot more critical eye than before. And they were saying that, a lot of them saying that before Martinsville. I heard this before Phoenix. Now we have this huge explosion after Phoenix. Like, I genuinely think they're going to look at it more intensely. It
may not even be that they come to a decision to implement it next year. They may still need more time, I feel, because I think, I love college football. They're just now in the 12-team playoff format, but they started talking about that for college football back in like 2021, 2022, and it just now started this year. So it could take longer, I think, to get to a system that they fully agree on. I don't know if I personally see them coming to an agreement just in a short off season. I think they'll need more time next year to find a concrete solution.
Yeah, because I know one of the things I heard was that like the system that we have now, mostly that was put in place in 2014, had tweaks, of course, in 2017. Like that was originally supposed to be a 2015 kind of thing. You know, new contract, new everything like that, rebrand the sport, all of that stuff. Then Spingate happened, and plans had to change. Now, granted, we also had Brian France on there. He probably, did a few things and then was like, "We're doing it now." But
Do it live.
The thing for me is new systems and new ways of crowning a champion have historically always been announced the week before racing comes back with like the Clash. First week of February, last week of January. A lot of times it's during the media day in Daytona, stuff like that. So if they've actually been looking into this and looking at different reasons and stuff like that, I don't see why they couldn't do anything new, whether it be a tweak to what we have now, whether it be a complete overhaul. I get maybe that taking a little longer. I don't understand why they wouldn't be able to do something in 2025. If the idea is they want to, I guess, study how particular systems they might put in place would either like pan out in simulation, stuff like that, and be absolutely sure, fine. Because I mean, we've seen with the next gen car some of the problems that could have been avoided with issues that happened before. But like, I don't see why there should be such a long discrepancy on it. Eric, we're on formats now. You've traveled to that.
Can we start the show over? Because I don't. I've loved them. I apologize, folks.
It's all good.
My computer has blue screened on me twice in the last.
Oh no!
And so I'm on my laptop now with a terrible webcam. Maybe I should like clean it. Can I like, clean it off?
Is it possible to connect your other camera to the laptop?
Yeah, I could. I'd have to go get an adapter out of the other room.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, so we are. I'm doing my best to keep everything going. Hopefully, I at least sound okay.
You're good.
You sound good. Just the same.
But I apologize. But I finally, over the last month, got my internet working. Notice I haven't dropped out of the call in like a month or two. But of course, in the final stream of the night, my actual hardware goes out. So that's lovely. Anyway,
well, we're talking.
What are we at?
Formats, and kind of. I think one is the fact that like NASCAR has really, what's the right word? They have been more open about it since probably the first time since like after Spingate 2013, and about tweaks, possible big changes in 26. I think we could probably lead in with you back into it on like the options that the three of us would give, because I think we have similarities to the directions, but I also think that like I would say I'm probably in a different subsection of fan base when it comes to which direction we should go than maybe you two have talked about before. So I don't know which one of you guys wants to lead off. I know Eric, yours took off this past week with some steam. I put mine out yesterday, and Danny, you told us you have like something that's kind of in the middle, might lean more towards what Eric has. So I don't know, like
it's definitely closer to Eric's, I feel.
Okay,
I can start with mine since a lot of people are already kind of familiar with it. So my idea for a new format, and this was trying to be very realistic. I don't see NASCAR obviously getting rid of the playoffs, and I think they would likely try to keep elimination rounds just because that's over the past 10, 11 years, that's become the culture. So my format simplifies the regular season in that it's just top 16 in points make the playoffs. Stage wins obviously count towards playoff points, which help with your seeding in the playoffs. But to qualify for the playoffs, you just got to be top 16 in points. Hopefully reward some regular season consistency. Once the playoffs begin, we have a one race wild card race. So I'm getting rid of the one race winner take all finale, and instead I'll give NBC this wild card race. Maybe it's at Darlington, maybe it's at Bristol for the night race, maybe it's Michigan or New Hampshire, could be anywhere, but they'll have this marquee wild card race where seeds 9 through 16 will battle for the final round of 12 spots, and they'll keep their playoff points. So, the 9 seed would have a slight advantage over the 15 or 16 seed, but it's one race to kind of set the rest of the round of 12. The top 8 are locked in. They don't have to worry about being eliminated this one week. That's the reward for being consistent and winning in the regular season. Then it's simple. Round of 12, same as it is now, 3 races. Round of 8, same as it is now, 3 races. But now the championship 4 will also compete in 3 races, with whoever has the most points at the end being the champion. I think hopefully then for the final race, or the final round at least, the larger sample size will have fans feeling like whoever wins the championship ultimately earned it. I think my biggest hang up with the current format, because y'all know I mostly like the current format, my biggest hang up all these years has been with the one race winner take all finale. So I think any format should at the very least get rid of that. And based on what I've read online this week, I think just about everyone's proposal does get rid of the winner take all finale. But I don't know if you guys agree. I don't know who wants to go next.
Dan, you said yours is more like it's maybe jump in with yours, and because mine's on a different end, and I think keeping all of it kind of concise and a little separate would be good before we mesh it all in.
So my make a little tweak here. My thoughts on it is I really love Eric's idea of the one race wild card, and then I like it more of a World Series, if you will, where there's a 3 races, 3 races, 3 races. That sounds better. That sounds more like NASCAR to me. My point system would be overhauled entirely to a system where we don't have stage cautions. Stages still exist, but the only person who's going to benefit is the stage winner, the person who's leading at that stage point. So it's like the race is going to go on, and we've seen this in road courses. The race is going to go on, as a real race, and just when that point comes, it's like, okay, there's your stage winner, and we'll do that twice in one race. If you finish first place, and this is assuming a 40-car field, it's not always going to be that way. If you finish first place, 40 points. If you finish 40th, 1 point, and it goes down for that way. You lead a lap, 1 point. You win a stage, 3 points. You could get 6 points from winning stages potentially in a race. You lead the most laps, 5 points. You win the race, an additional 7 points in addition to that 40 you got from finishing first. So then my wild card is actually not necessarily for your really good people. It's actually when you get to that wild card one, we're going to already have the top 11 in points locked in, and whoever's 12 through 16, we're going to have a championship 4 with them, if you will. The best finisher of those wins the wild card, in my opinion, to get that 12th and final spot. So to make that a little bit more interesting to, try to be in that, 12 to 16 range to get that final spot. So I guess it'd be technically 5 drivers that'd be going for that, not 4, if you will. So
yeah,
that's my idea of it. And then at that point, rack them, stack them, do it again, and then 3 races cut off 4, 3 races cut off 4, and then a 3-race round, still using that points format. It might be a little bit more confusing, and I need to iron out some details, but that's my basic principle of it. I really like Eric's idea. My thing comes down to more wanting, no need for a stage caution, in my opinion. Have a stage, reward some points if you were leading at that point, but I do like just focus more on the points for the general year.
Yeah, I like the I'm good with the lack of stage cautions at most tracks. I think that's good. I do think maybe your regular season points are just a little like I could see that being a little extra confusing, but we kind of agree with regular season should be largely defined by points and who's been consistent. That's who should make the playoffs.
Which
So
don't get me wrong, then if you win the race, that's 7 points. That's going to help you go a long ways,
Yeah.
So I'm going to preface this, and I know a lot of people get sick of hearing it, but there's always new people that are listening that like my perfect world, and this is unrealistic, is, I'm fully on board with what Dale Jr. said. We go back to the way we did it and all that, and full season, all that. But that's not realistic with the direction NASCAR is going. So I think there's a way that you can go back a bit, cater to current fans, cater to fans that are still on the younger side, but also still have some of the stuff that's been in new NASCAR, if you will, and can still incentivize winning a bit more. So for me, I think 16 is too many. No matter, especially if you have rounds like that or a 10 race chase or whatever, roughly most of the time, even after what Joey Logano did, those guys from 13th to 16th, whether it be in points, whether it be how they fall into the rounds based on playoff points and all of that, like largely they're going to be gone by the time anything actually is for real for the championship.
Yeah, like everyone's harping on Logano being so bad this year, but he was still the 9 seed. Like it wasn't exactly like he was 14th, 15th, 16th once they restacked him.
And I do think hearing all of our ideas, we all agree 12 is a better number than 16 because Eric had the one race wild card. I like what someone said, 5 to stay alive was my wild card, and it becomes 12 at that point.
Kind of catchy.
Yeah, and you got to think about this too. I mean, next year we're going to have 32 charters more than likely, unless the lawsuit stuff gets ironed out very quickly. Half of the charter teams will be.
I don't want to see that get more confusing.
But think of this: the bigger picture of this. Half of the people in this in the conversation, half the people chartered will be in. To that point, you are getting a weaker and weaker field, and I want to see the best of the best go at it every year. So
the NBA, meanwhile, with 20 teams out of 30 making the playoffs.
And I'll be honest, like to me, even when I was like a big fan of the NBA, it really didn't matter until the conference finals.
The playoffs drag in basketball.
It does.
I'm sorry.
Well, I want to try and get to where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. So I'd say top 12 in points make it. They're the best. You're going to have really good guys still missing it. I mean, you look this past year at some of the guys who would have been outside looking in. Granted, Denny Hamlin with penalty stuff like that, and I think also gives more weight to NASCAR penalties the way that they are now, because they are very, very, very big, and you don't have that room for error. I think that with that too, and I will even open it up just off performance based. It's an old school one from 2004. We can adjust it to now. I don't think it'll ever happen, but in the case of a very competitive year, I think that anyone within 100 points of the leader, even if they're outside the top 12, can be in, because they are that good. That is less than a race and a half. That's about a race and a half of points that can be made up under a 10 race chase. If somebody has a really good chase, it can be made up over a full season. It can be made up really outside of like 3 race samples. I think the problem is 3 race samples they're too small, but that's where some of the biggest problems have come from. Joey Logano is what we're all complaining about, but the biggest problem this year with the playoffs was the race manipulation. Has been manipulation in the past, has been cutoff races. And I think having your championship come down to that leads to opening the door for an even worse controversy than we've ever had before. So I'm fine going back to 10 races, award 5 playoff points for a win per, have 1 playoff point per stage win, and then I think that we can be a little more top heavy with the regular season guys. I think 25 or 20 points for the regular season champion, then 15, 10, 8, and then of course 6 on down to 1 for the top 10. I think it covers the sample size argument. I think that in a lot of ways it could, at least with that larger sample size, at least put at bay the legitimacy argument of it. I think that for the last race, stages can matter. So it's not just, they're just kind of puttering around or trying to get in position for the last stage. Like, no, like if Christopher Bell and Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney are in this tight points battle, like those extra couple stage points they're fighting for can make a difference. I think it prevents from having quote unquote meaningless races, whether it be a bye. I know byes are very well intentioned, but it leads to basically a bunch of guys riding around or going for wins. Yeah, and I don't like the idea that the best of the best basically just sit there with nothing to do. If you have nothing to do, you might as well just sit out the races themselves, and none of us want to see that.
Tyler Reddick basically sat out Martinsville. I think he ran 35th before breaking.
What did Joey Logano have to worry about other than Phoenix after he won Vegas?
Exactly, and so it eliminates, though, one of the biggest problems that we have now. And this, I think, can still be with a 16, and then the bye weeks, it can definitely be with winning you're in, it still will be. The waiver debate this year was a disgrace. Kyle Larson, I think, was the best driver out there this year. Now, he didn't make it this far to the championship, but we should not be having a debate over the best guys out there not making it because they missed a race or skipped a race. I think this would actually stop them from skipping a race too, especially with how close things are nowadays. The biggest, I think, issue with this, and we saw it exposed with Jimmy Johnson, nobody seems to ever remember this part. The NASCAR schedule changed 1 chase race from 2005 to 2010. They changed Atlanta out for Auto Club, which practically raced the same when it comes to finishing positions of those guys out there. NASCAR doesn't do that nowadays. We change up the schedule. We have a much closer field. And I think because of that, I think this would actually be a better way of going about it. There's also the other end of it. You know, we look at the playoff and elimination era, and I'm not going to say that the points would have been full season the way they are because they would have raced differently and all of that. But I'm more saying that the points can always show how people performed the whole year. And when you look at since 2014, we've had the guy with the championship get the 5th, 20th, 7th, 1st, 4th, 1st, 3rd, 1st, 3rd, 6th, 12th most amount of points. If you look in the Chase era, 4th, 1st, 1st, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 1st. And 3 of those ones that weren't first were guys who would have been within striking distance, give or take. People like to rip on Tony Stewart in 2011. Oh, he sucked all year, all that. He still scored the 3rd most amount of points that season, was right up there with Carl Edwards at the end. Actually, the one that was like the most Mickey Mouse in that era was Kurt Busch in the first one, who was 4th behind guys like Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And if you watch back on the year, Kurt Busch was really good. I think we need to get back to rewarding the absolute best so that we're not having the legitimacy argument. And I think it caters to that younger audience that NASCAR really wants to keep around. Because if you look at the kids who grew up and liked the Chase era, those kids now are like us. They're in their 20s or they're maybe their early 30s, some of them in their teens. So it's not alien or foreign to them. You're not going all the way back to a full season when, you know, before I think maybe any of us watched Die Hard. And you still can solve a lot of the big problems we have today. The big problem NASCAR needs to address is that NASCAR's legitimacy, whether people like it or not, is in question. And I think this at least gets it to a point. The problem with the Chase, really, to me, never was the Chase itself. It was that, one, it didn't reward the regular season well enough, and it didn't reward wins well enough. I'd actually be fine personally adding another 10 points, 20 points, whatever it might be, to winning each race. Make it top heavy. Make winning that important to make up points, whether on the Chase cut line, on the championship battle towards the end. And make a max amount of points 70. It'd be awesome. The most amount of points you can make up if the leader finishes last and you win every stage is 69. It's perfect. It caters perfectly to a young audience. Yeah. So it's not perfect. There are still definitely some flaws to it as in every system, but I think it covers a lot of the problems without getting rid of a 10 race playoff.
So so your system is effectively the Chase, but with more bonus points for regular season, championship, and wins throughout the year, and stage wins,
and during the playoffs too with wins.
The wins count more. Yeah,
I just ran the math here, and you said max points and stuff. So with my system here, if you finish first, you get 40 points. You lead a lap, you get 1 point. Win stage, 3 points, potentially up to 6 with that. Lead most laps, it's 5 points for that. You win the race at 7 points. That'd be max points, 59 points a race.
I think your system, Jarrett, like you kind of were getting at there, I think there are 3 boxes that need to be checked. There's simplicity, the legitimacy box, and then the entertainment box. I think yours checks the legitimacy box pretty well. There won't be nearly as many questions about that. The research you did there on points, that was very interesting. The simplicity box, I think that gets checked as well. It's pretty easy to follow once you get into the playoffs at the very least. The entertainment box is the one I'd still circle because, you're not going to, the odds of a guy like Kyle Larson going for it at Homestead the way he did and maybe making a mistake, that goes way down. I think there are going to be some of those Hail Mary type moves we miss out on under a format like that. So that's the only one that I would say 2 out of 3 is not bad. And, even this one, like there'll still be some exciting moments. Again, if you reward winning enough, people are still going to go for it maybe more than they did in the past. So, I mean, that's a fair point. I think that's absolutely fair. If they are to go back to the Chase era, I would do what you just said and make sure regular season performance and winning is still rewarded more so than it was, because that I agree, especially the first years of the Chase when everybody reset back to 0, like that was dumb. That was very dumb. People say the 2005-4 Chase was great, and I'm like, no, it actually sucked. Like I think the current format is objectively better than the 04-05. I don't know when they changed it the first time, but I think the current format is better than the original Chase. There's that 2010s Chase where they started to reward winning more. If you just add on to that, I think you might have something.
And I think it's why I didn't want to have the wild card part of it, because I think
they had a wild card.
The biggest problem with I know this is going to be probably unpopular to say. I think we've overvalued winning at this point to the point that like we don't look at anything else anyone has done the rest of the year. I mean, I looked back on it, and before the last 5 races of the year, like Joey Logano, like those 10 to 12 before it, I mean, he was garbage. Like the argument that he showed up in the last 10 weeks, like he really didn't. Like,
he just won the most important races. You know what I mean? Like,
and,
he won like the openers of the rounds, the championship, the rest of them he took off.
And I think the problem with that is that when it really just comes down to 5 races, which again, those should be the biggest races, and I think a chase does help with that. I think you can raise the argument of a lot of people being like, well, why did I watch for 40 weeks when all I needed to do was check in the last 5 and then watch the races I might like? Like, diehards will watch no matter what. This is not a diehard argument. This is an argument of like those people who are getting their first or 2 years in, and they're trying to follow something like we need some kind of like storyline to follow throughout it. And I think wins shouldn't be devalued as much as they were before 2014. Like even that system in 2011, like you look at the percentages, and I have them, I think.
Didn't you get like 3 bonus points for every win you had?
So
like that was from not enough.
2007 to now, we've awarded points going in. We awarded 10 points in the lap for late years in 2007 to 2010. Basically, 10 points is 5.3% of what the maximum amount of points would be. 2011 to 2016, we awarded 3 points per win, but of course, it was a revamped system. 6.3% of the maximum points you can get in a race. I think that the way from the start that we reward points is good. For each win. 5 points now would be 8.3% of what you could get in a max race, which is 60 points, except for the 600, which is 70. But I think that's a direction to go. I think setting it up that wins really do matter, especially once you get into that point. Because like think about it like this, somebody that's 10th coming in, but they have like 6 wins, like that 30 points, like that's 50% of what you can have in a maximum win race. Like you basically won half a race just from winning those races in the regular season. So you get that added boost anyway. Like I think that the way we do that now, and with stage points too, like I think that's fine. And I think that the biggest problem with the chase was we didn't reward the wins in the regular season enough. We reward the wins in regular season very well now. I just don't think that it necessarily matters after a couple weeks or when there's wild card races in such a small sample size. And I want to avoid the issues we've had ever since 2014 with this system of crazy or stupid moments defining it. Because like it or not, people are going to look back at this season that watched it, and they're going to bring up the good finishes and stuff like that, but they're going to talk about the end of the season and how it left a bad taste. And the thing, the reasoning I give in this is 2020. If you look back to 2020, there were actually like a lot of fun and really good races in that season. Nobody talks about that when they talk about 2020. They talk about Kevin Harvick be eliminated. And I found it funny. I think it was Kenny Wallace Joey Logano said it. Kenny Wallace said it, and a couple others like, why are we just complaining about it now? I'm like, okay, I remember 2020. Mickey Elliott was like trending on Twitter #1 after that race. I mean, that was the most popular driver at the time getting clowned on. And he was good that year.
Well, did you see the Jeff Gluck poll? Because he did a poll after that 2020 season, was like, what format do you guys want? And the plurality of fans said the current elimination format, even after Chase's win. And a lot of that, again, like I said earlier, Logano being unpopular is contributing a little bit to the blowback. Elliott being popular is part of why the blowback wasn't as severe in 2020. But obviously now that's flipped. Now, when Jeff Gluck polled fans on Twitter this time around, it was like, nah, bring back something simpler like the Chase. I did find it interesting that in both 2020 and 2024, nearly 2/3 of fans still would prefer a playoff format over the Winston era format. I don't know. I guess I would have thought that with all the blowback this week that the Winston fans would be like, in full resurge rebuild. But I guess we're just so far removed from that era. They're not on Twitter anymore. I don't know.
Ironically enough, that's the most consistent subsection of fans. Yeah. It's not changed. Like, it's
not really changed much, which I thought was just kind of interesting.
I would also look at it another way, is like half of fans like the elimination now, whereas like now I think it was like 11 or 19% or something on there. Like over 80 don't want this now. I mean, the fans are format, speaking, and the thing is, like, I did a similar poll recently. I think it might have been Sunday, it might have been recently. I did a similar poll, and it was similar results. Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi did in the Teardown Live, and it was similar results. I mean, it's not just like it's Jeff Gluck's followers or it's Iceberg's followers or Dirty
It's the
Mo.
hardcore tuned in fan. Like
Yes.
I think that's the thing is we aren't getting casuals in those rankings. We're getting hardcore, very attentive fans are voting on these social media polls and everything.
Well,
No, I think
maybe not always. Sometimes Jared gets that comment. It's like, don't care, didn't watch.
I guess that's
F1
true. Okay,
better.
there is a few. Never
But-
mind. There's some stragglers.
But it's like we're not bringing in the casual fan base. I think that NASCAR every week roughly has about 2 million of the hardcore fans. I mean, the people watching right now, I would say that of the 750 watching, probably 700 are hardcore fans that are watching this. And then there's others that might be new, might be stuff like that.
and
But
there's some spam bots.
yeah, that too. I mean, we're all bots.
I'm botting the stream as we speak. Actually,
I mean, I'm a bot. But so my point is like, if we're not bringing people in and we're just pissing off our core base with this on the majority, why not try to go to at least a direction that core base want? Now, people are going to complain about whatever format we go to.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement that something should change. And even me, I've been a fan of the playoff format overall. If they kept this exact format going the next year, personally, I wouldn't be upset, but I also see that other fans would be upset and call me a people pleaser. I want people to be happy, so I'm fine evolving and changing. I think your proposal, Jared, if they want to go full chase style, is reasonable. It checks two of the most important boxes for sure. I still feel like mine is, maybe the checks on a couple of them aren't quite as big and bold, but I do think mine also checks those boxes. So I think there's I've seen so many different solutions out there that are also radically different from one another, which is what I find so fascinating. There was a super chat I saw earlier. I want to see if I can scroll it real quick. I know we're going to get to the first super chat stage break here before too long.
When you
this one right here.
When you get done, I've got something I was trying to say a few minutes ago.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well, Snappy 452 had said a super chat earlier. It said, hot take, constantly changing the point system is as bad or even worse as having a bad system long term. I don't know if that's the way I would phrase it, but their point that I think part of NASCAR's decline 10, 15 years ago was their, desperate changing of the format every 3 or 4 years. I think it was really hard to take the sport seriously during that time because it almost felt like they didn't take their own format very seriously. They were constantly overhauling it. So it's been 8 years since the last notable change. I think a small change is due and will be tolerated by most fans. But I do think it's important to keep that in mind when people suggest radically different formats. Like I think we should be slow and methodical, that's the word, about whatever change comes next.
I get that. I think that the big issue though is that no matter which way we go about the elimination side of it, like we're going to have the same problems pop up.
Well, this year was also, I'll say this year was a very special case. How often are 3 guys below the cut line going to win the 3 round of 8 races? Like, what are the odds?
That's not even all of what I'm going for. Like we saw this in 2015 with Kevin Harvick, where he
I don't count the 2015. You're saying like the shenanigans at Talladega.
I'm saying eliminations, no matter which way it goes about it, like it's going to, like when you have these small sample sizes and then lead up to like a basically cutoff right at the hip of 4 different guys, it leads to these kind of instances happening over and over again. I mean, we saw it the first year with borderline with Ryan Newman pushing Kyle Larson.
I think NASCAR said they're not going to tolerate it anymore. I know it's just them saying it, but they say they're going to write a new rule. They sound deadly serious. I think if Harvick
sounded serious after Spingate about race manipulation. We're having the same conversation we had 10 years ago about it, though.
Well, it took 9 years for the next blatant team orders to come into play with Cole Custer and Stuart Haas.
I would argue 2020 with Gibbs was also blatant team orders. I'd argue
that's
2022 with Stuart Haas Racing. Like
that's true about 2020.
So we're seeing the same or giant problems hit up. I think that we need to figure out one that hits that middle ground. And I personally think the way the chase was before does hit that middle ground with rewarding stuff the way we do now. Like I said, I don't really, outside of winning you're in, have a problem with the regular season. I think the regular season is the most interesting part of the year. And I think a lot of people kind of feel that way at times, because we know that these kind of things are going to flare up in the playoffs. So I think if you just get one big change, and you're like, we're not doing anything for a decade or so. We're going to stick with this, whatever problems we have, then we write the rules in, but we try and mitigate what the teams do, get a little bit of the toothpaste back in. Like, I think that's kind of a better way of going about it, because if we're just going to have these 3-race sample sizes, we're going to run into the same problems over and over again, have the same kind of conversations, and no matter which way we stand on it, having a legitimacy conversation every other year is going to be way worse than changing it one big time and trying to mitigate all of that. I think that it's got to be the direction. You're at a crossroads. You have to make a big decision now, or you're just going to continue to fall off in the next 7 years.
Yeah, whatever decision, because I do think all trends suggest they're going to make a change this offseason, even though they haven't said that they will. It just sounds like that's where the momentum is headed.
Yeah,
I agree. I think you have to. I almost think you have to. If you can't do it this year, maybe you have to do it in 2026. I know there's that one report that their hands are somewhat tied because the schedule's already out. But okay, by 2026, like you kind of have to lay in whatever bed you make between now and the end of 2025. You know what I mean? Like whatever format they come up with in the next year, that's got to be the format for a decade, 2 decades. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is you got to get this one 100% right. And if you create a new format and the first year or two, the racing's not super exciting, or maybe you get one champion that is somewhat called into question. I don't know. You kind of just have to stick with it.
In a race or something like that. You can do small things. Like,
you can change the way you officiate, like the way they've said they will.
People continue to forget that like NASCAR changed how much they rewarded for wins during the first chase years, and no one really remembers that part because of the changes they'd made to the chase itself. They awarded 175 up to 2003, then 180, then 185, and I know one of the options was like maybe we just have 200 points per win, and then that's way more than we've ever had before or something like that. I think changing the little things during it to award stuff, similar to like how other series would do that, or other sports would change different little rules here and there, like that won't be the issue. But I think just getting a format where you only have to make tweaks instead of big swings. I mean, inverting the playoffs like we're talking about, that is a huge swing. I mean, that changes the way things would be raced in a huge way. So if we're going to take a huge swing, let's just take the huge swing that will get the legitimacy argument out of the public lexicon for a while. Like that's where I'm at. Like, if we're going to make a change, let's change something. Let's not just tweak something and go halfway, because that's NASCAR's biggest problem in their points changes, is either they change everything too much, or they'd only tweak a little bit when a big change is actually needed.
My take is that they don't need a big change. I think they just need, like, that's why I have my rounds set up the way they are. And I think that checks both boxes. I think it gets them a format that gets rid of a lot of the concerns people have now, and is still not a complete overhaul that it, again, threatens to delegitimize this up. But fans will have their own take. I'll be interested to see what NASCAR does. Danny, the chat is in huge suspense. What have you been sitting on for the last 5 minutes?
I don't even think it's worth saying anymore. It was more relevant 10 minutes ago.
Well, you got to jump in. I
can't
be assertive.
Keep having a two-way conversation. I can't butt in there. All I was going to talk about was the fact that we need to eliminate winning your end, but that was forever ago. So I don't even know.
But hey, that's still relevant now, actually. I'm glad you added that in. A lot of fans feel the same way. And that's the one edit I'd be willing to make to my format, is I think I still said winning your end's fine for the playoffs itself, not the regular season. But if people want to get rid of winning your end in the rounds,
I'll add more if you want, Eric. I have more to say.
Do it.
Don't pause.
All right. You literally just started taking the conversation after I said that. No, what all I was going to say is I feel like we need to get rid of winning your end, because these unique wins don't feel as unique anymore. What was the most feel good win we've seen in recent years? In my opinion, SVG, Chicago. Because what happened? A cold winter, it didn't impact the championship at that point. And now we've seen guys come and win, like Harrison Burton. Cool. Should have felt awesome to see him win. But does he necessarily deserve to be a championship, contender now? No, not really. And I feel like that kind of just defeats it. Like when Paul Menard wins the 2011 Brickyard 400. Oh man, it's so cool. Good for Paul. He finally won. Paul Menard wins the Brickyard 400 and he's in a championship. Oh, I don't know about that. It has a whole lot different, meaning to it then. It's like, you want these wins to feel unique, but in terms of a championship, I want the best guys. I want the most consistent guys going for the championship. I feel like Bubba Wallace had a consistent year, but he gets screwed over in all this. There's a lot of guys who had good years, but they got screwed over because of, someone random winning that probably had no business being in there. Joey Logano, for all that matter, maybe I don't know if he was necessarily a real favorite this year, but he got in because of his teammate causing a caution in Nashville. Oh well.
No, you make a good point there, Danny. I'm glad you're able to say that. And a lot of fans, I think, feel the same way, that the Wood brothers winning their 100th race was a great story. It didn't need to come with a playoff spot, that's, and kind of to Jared's point, is you can make wins worth something without still making them worth everything like they kind of are now. You can strike a healthy balance.
Cool wins to just be cool again. It's
make winning cool again.
It's neat. It's neat when we're having a year of, oh, there's Chase Elliott got to win. Oh, there's Ryan Blaney got to win. There's Kyle Larson got to win. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, would you look at that? Daniel Suarez got to win. Good for him. He might not be contended for a championship, but cool, he got to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down with that, man. 100%.
Yeah, I like it.
I loved that call that Lee Diffie had at the end with Harrison Burton. Jeff, your little boy has done
nothing to do with the playoffs.
Exactly. I don't think the first playoff talk was really after until like Jeff got down there, and then like the high died down a little bit, and they're like, okay, let's talk big picture. I miss that. I wish that we'd have more of that. And Danny's exactly right. That SVG win is special, and people will remember that 20 years from now.
Because it was just a cool win. I mean, it's like it's like this current year of college football. It felt cool when Vanderbilt beat Alabama, but in the grand scheme of things, Alabama's still probably going to make the playoffs despite that win. It's like those moments are cool and all, but it doesn't necessarily have to impact the true championship, in my opinion.
Danny just did the impossible. He made a stick and ball sport reference that actually argues against NASCAR's current playoff format. That's incredible that he actually managed to figure out.
Vanderbilt beat Alabama. They are in the playoffs by NASCAR standards, guys.
Don't show this to Steve O'Donnell. That's well, we've had a great, you guys have been on for the full hour. I have been on and off, unfortunately, but my technology is largely stabilized now. We're going to do our first Super Chat stage break, and then we're going to talk just a little more about Phoenix, and then we're going to get into the rest of the show.
Finale's so weird, man. It's always been such a weird episode for us.
All right, first Super Chat stage break. Really appreciate all you guys supporting the show. Bailey Reichert says, favorite SHR moment? My favorite are Stewart's 11 title, the 2018 Fall Talladega domination, and Briscoe getting that final cup win. That Briscoe win was special, was exciting, came out of nowhere. What about Riley Herbst winning the race this weekend in their final Xfinity start? That's something
pretty cool. I'm glad Allgaier didn't push the issue too much. Maybe he realized, hey, I've got the championship. Let them have one more win.
Yeah, I would say Stewart's 2011 title, probably their best overall moment. It was their first championship. Tony winning as a driver owner. I think that one's tough to beat.
Kurt Busch's 2017 Daytona 500 is special. And randomly, just the race always sticks up in my mind. Clint Boyer winning Martinsville the day after it snowed was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Irvin Alvarado sent a couple here, very generous. My rational take, give me 36 season points with first place max 40 to last place 1 point, lead lap points, and overall with 20 points after with wins plus stages. I'm checked out of playoffs. That quality racing matters.
Sounds close to what I have, I think.
I think so. Well, it sounds like it's a full season points. There's no playoffs at all. So that's anyway. They add on here. My irrational take is NASCAR. If you want fairness, rankings, and proper entertainment to talk about at the water cooler, 3 words: BCS. That's right, Bowl Championship System. Computer rankings, AP polls to crown a champion. What if we had that though?
Oh my God.
What if we actually every week Bob Pockrass's power rankings are how we
influenced it? Oh my God!
NWP would be part of the ranking system somehow. We would each get a vote.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
hilarious.
And
we'd have, if you ever see the AP rankings for college football, there's some person who irrationally puts like a low tier team really high, like Bowman #1 for me. I say it.
I almost want this now, not because even if we don't have a vote, like imagine the debate every Monday. Where when does I guess the CFP rankings come out on Sunday, but for NASCAR, let's say they come out on Monday. The AP poll for NASCAR.
Or NASCAR sense, just do a Tuesday. Penalty day matches ranking day.
Oh my God. Honestly, though, that would really spice up midweek content. So from a content perspective, can we just maybe what?
Okay, I wish they would do it. Doesn't not for the championship, just separately do like a media poll, if you will, for NASCAR one season, just to see what happens.
Oh my gosh. Paul Heyman, thank you for the 10. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to do the voice. My name is Paul Heyman. I'm here to celebrate my client, the reigning, defending, undisputed, and 3-time Cup champion, the Dream Shatterer, Joey Logano. Thank you, Paul. Napa Racing fan, a couple here. Ty Majeski's championship speech, go out and vote. Yeah, he kind of became the poster child for doing his civic duty this week. Another one from Napa Racing fan. Thor Sport is playoff Penske and trucks, winning 4 of the last 6 titles. Allgaier choked 3 times and still won the title. Yeah, we'll talk about Allgaier in a minute, but that's kind of accurate, honestly. I feel like Justin Allgaier in that one race showed us both why he is great and amazing, and also why it took him this long to win a championship finally. Ross Crashdane, just do a couple more here. Ross Crashdane says, this race was the final straw for me, NASCAR. I am so fed up. I won't be watching until February 2nd. I think he speaks for all of us.
I wish there would have been a NASCAR fan due to the Cowboys meme. I'm so mad. Just smash the TV.
Oh my God! Like throw their like fire suit, jacket in the trash, like Skip Bayless or something.
Fire.
Yeah. Blake Thyman says, bad news, Logano won the title, but good news, my girlfriend and I got engaged yesterday.
Yeah.
Fun season.
Congrats.
Looking forward to next year. Congratulations, Blake.
She's not your girlfriend now. She's your fiance.
And the soon-to-be Mrs. Blake. That's not how that works, but congratulations. I'll do 2 more real quick here. Orcas, thanks for the 5. I don't care what anyone says. Logano deserved the championship, and I'm not even a Logano fan. He won Nashville and would have won Richmond. I guess that's a fair point. And then won 3 playoff races. He did win the most important races. However he got it done, he got it done. We have to at least give him that. And I will say, I don't know if y'all talked about this while I was off the air, but I did want to say, like, a lot of folks are saying Logano's championship is fluky or too random. And I get when they refer to the stats for this season, but is it really random when the guys who've won the last 2 championships finished 1-2 in this year's championship? Like Team Penske, for whatever it's worth, they figured out how to maximize their potential in this format. It's not fluky if they're here every single year.
And with technically a redesigned Ford this year, so
yeah, they started even slower this year and still somehow found a way. Lastly, from Grid Flow, should the regular season champion have a Final Four 2?
No, I hate
like
that
Final
idea.
Four berth. Yeah, I hate that idea. I don't like the idea of giving someone 8-9 weeks off effectively.
That was the worst idea I heard. I forget who first brought that up.
I won't name names, Kevin Harvick, but yeah. He did, but I think he then backtracked a little bit.
He go back to be cheater boy for that idea.
Jar Jar Binks in here. He deserves it after that. We got a lot of super chats. I really do appreciate the support. You guys have been amazing for us on this show all year long. We'll get to the next batch here at the top of the second hour because I have a feeling we are going to dip into hour number 3 pretty easily here. Thank you all for sticking with us. Next on the agenda, we're still on Phoenix, by the way. Just a few things we want to touch on real quick. We've spent the last hour debating the legitimacy of the format. Logano is the champion. Want to real quick mention Martin Truex Jr. making his final Cup Series start as a full-time driver. I think he finished 17th.
Got the pole, led laps.
Did get the pole that I don't know what color you call it. It's not quite the Hendrick Ruby red, but that
it's like
red
Killian's red. If you ever look at the Killian's beer logo, it's like that kind of red, but like not as shiny.
It's like
maroon,
crimson, but it doesn't look as
nice
good in a wrap as it did painted.
No, I agree. But what did look really good was his throwback fire suit. He looked
that was
like
perfect.
It made him look 20 years younger. Like maybe that's just me, but wow, it was cool. It was fun. I got to sit in the driver's meeting. Everyone was in the driver's meeting. I've never seen a room with this many people in it, quite honestly. The fire department must have been looking the other way. But the Elton Sawyer gave a nice sort of tribute to Truex, and all the drivers immediately they'd coordinated it, gave him a standing ovation in the drivers meeting before the race, and that was probably the only time I saw Truex smile all weekend. But it was a very big, genuine smile. So big weekend for Martin Truex Jr. A few other lasts here. Stuart Haas's final race, of course. I think Gregson finished 12th or something. He was probably their best finishing driver.
He was part of the top 10 all day, I think.
He finished 12th.
he had a pretty good run. Yeah, the end of Stuart Haas.
Did you
There was
see?
the controversy on the cooldown lap. Yeah, so I guess they had talked about like sort of, Ford versus Ferrari style lining up on the front stretch to like take a photo, but Ryan Preece somehow there was miscommunication along the way. He said that that Barry told him, "Oh no, we're not doing it." And then they went and did it without Ryan Preece, it
Who was
appears.
the
So
driver that was supposedly left out of the group chat or whatever it
That
that was
was?
also Ryan Preece.
Oh
And there was
gosh.
also a post that Stuart Haas made on Twitter of the other three drivers like literally walking off into the sunset. No Ryan Preece. I don't know
I
who
I, I
Ryan
made
Preece
a
pissed off, but
I made a tribute video and posted it. It's pinned on my Twitter now. If y'all haven't seen it, I made a tribute video. I made sure to get some Ryan Priest in there because Amanda, there's a little bit at least respect for being in the final season.
yeah, and it's interesting because Briscoe is going to Gibbs, Barry's going to the Wood Brothers, Gregson's going to Front Row. Priest is the only driver to not announce his plans, although
Maybe RFK. We're
it
still in
seems
confirmed.
highly likely he'll be at RFK. Which, in the big picture, all four SHR drivers arguably got upgrades for next year, which is kind of remarkable considering how competitive the driver market is. And then one last sort of final tribute: FedEx more than likely just ran their final race with Denny Hamlin
Shocked
as
us.
a
We didn't see
primary.
that.
Yeah, they were obviously been scaling back, and I feel like anytime I Google FedEx, they were, their business was not doing well. There's a lot of negative headlines around
$1 billion in the
in cuts.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised, in the big picture, I think their NASCAR sponsorship was a drop in the bucket, but it's still
Well,
every bit counts, I guess. So they had to
I'll
make
bring up
cuts.
one point about that to defend NASCAR here. I know
Mm-hmm.
many people are shocked that I say this, but this was like other sponsors leaving. I think have been a big indictment on the system, the business model, all of that. This one was a FedEx deal, and
I think you're probably right.
I remember. Granted, this might have been pro UPS propaganda, but when I worked at UPS, one of the big things was like you would get leaked little memos about like, oh, here's what our competitors and how they're doing. Like, oh, Prime's doing well with their deliveries and we're on track to beat them. FedEx was always at the bottom of those lists, like in all of the business agendas. This was back in like 2018, 19. So it's like FedEx has had issues for a long time, and they also scaled back on the NFL side and stopped sponsoring the Redskins stadium. And like,
Yeah.
I don't think the NFL is in trouble. So I don't want this to be some big negative indictment on NASCAR because it really isn't.
Yeah, I don't think this one is. It's a shame. It's the end of an era, one of the longest partnerships the sport still had. But yeah, I agree. This isn't as much of a NASCAR problem as it is just a specific FedEx problem.
So I was just curious. I was like trying to think of, if I'm going to go ship something, I'm probably going to go to my post office first.
Their
But
USPS is usually cheapest, right?
they're usually probably cheapest, most convenient. But then maybe they'll consider UPS and then maybe FedEx is like my third option. But I just went to Google Maps and I was like, United States Postal Service. There's one of those 5 minutes away from my house. There is a UPS store 7 minutes away. If I want to try to find FedEx, I can find not a FedEx location, a FedEx on-site thing inside of a Walgreens. I can't really go find a FedEx a location nearby per se.
Yeah, I do feel where I live, it's a lot more UPS. I feel like maybe FedEx is more of a business. Maybe like businesses use FedEx.
Oh
I don't
gosh,
know.
we have awoken slap shoes. We mentioned the U word.
He said, yeah, UPS, you say? That's
Fellow
funny.
UPS, well, I'm a former, but fellow UPS worker.
You're an
a
alum.
UPS alum.
I'm an alum of I'm an alum of UPS.
I've already seen people on Twitter drawing up Denny Hamlin UPS paint scheme concepts. So that would be the funniest thing if that were to happen.
I'm telling you, if UPS just did one race for the 11 next year,
Oh God! Do you think wait? Hold on. Do you think Denny would sign off on that? Like, be honest. Obviously, maybe he doesn't get a say. Gibbs is like money is money, but like, do you think they do that? Especially so soon? The body isn't even cold yet. Like, would you do that after 20 years with
I don't
FedEx?
think they
or if they
would.
came to 2311, maybe.
Well, still same thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Denny literally had a quote this week that said, "I bleed purple," which was kind of a wild quote, but like, that just shows you like someone does so much for your career for 20 years. I don't think he'd stab him in the back for a
If
quick
they
buck.
weren't doing probably worse off than FedEx, DHL would be good. Denny Hamlin, DHL.
The
Act-
L would
actually,
be
they-
perfect for the end of his seasons.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's funny.
DHL, Denny Hamlin loses.
Oh, no,
the
the
memes write themselves.
Yep. Few more Phoenix touch ups here. The pace car. spun out off the. I don't know if he ever made contact with Chase Elliott, but just missed the turn. I've seen that. That looked like an interstate here in Texas. Someone just missing their exit and threatening everyone's lives around them. Never thought I'd see that in NASCAR.
Did you see RFK's post with the Drake and Josh meme?
The Drake and Josh running over Oprah.
The other one I thought of was the remember the I think it was like Progressive or Geico. One of them was like, better protect or Allstate, better protect yourself from mayhem like me. And it's a guy. There's one where he's a faulty GPS and he goes recalculating, turn left now. Like I can't believe somebody. I just thought that. I can't believe somebody didn't edit that together and like make the meme out of that. It might have been turned right. Either way, it would have been funny as hell.
There was one time they showed a shot of the pace car. It had just a huge dent in the side of it. I wish I could have found a screenshot of it or remember to take a picture of it. But I posted a screenshot of this Facebook group that belongs in Camrys with dented bumpers. It's a huge Facebook group, like 80,000 members in it, but it belongs in there now.
That was such a specific reference. I thought that was so funny when you posted that.
Peter in the chat, the Family Guy, good luck everybody else meme. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I don't want to go to off-season sensitivity training for that.
Yeah, didn't Danny get sent for that exact post?
That.
The funniest part is like, Riss was like, my fiance Riss was completely fine with it. She's like, I'm Asian. It's fine. I don't care. Like,
yeah, pace car into the sand barrels. Did not see that coming.
I think for Denny Hamlin, a meme is the last of his concerns with NASCAR at this point.
Yeah, it's a Monopoly money post with Joey Logano.
Oh my gosh,
it's NASCAR
was grade A trolling on NASCAR's part. I love that.
We'll see. Kyle Busch goes winless officially. Thoughts?
Dang, it sucks.
19-year winning streak snapped.
I feel like the better question is like, how long is a winless streak going to go for? Because like, I'm just saying it now. Like,
Jimmy Johnson vibes.
I'm an old. Well, I think he'll get another win at some point, but as an old, Dale Jr. fan, I tend to remember back in 2009 when Jr. had a crew chief change and like a bunch of changes were made to help him win. And it was a Kyle Busch saying that, it's everybody else's fault. It's never Dale Jr.'s and ripping on Jr. And I'm just like, I'm wondering how many changes we're going to see for old Kyle Busch and how many it won't be his faults we're going to get on it. Like an old Dale Jr. Just saying, like, I just holding those 15-year-old receipts, just saying.
Well, to be fair for Kyle Busch, it took him 19 years to do this. It took Dale 8 years to get to that point.
And I know, but I'm just saying. It's like it's awfully like a lot of people have said it. If you watch NASCAR long enough, everything comes full circle. And I'm just it's like George Lucas, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
The whole sport is a circle, basically.
Driver of the gate car, just saying.
Yeah. They keep teasing big personnel changes. The only news that's come out of there are the rumors that they stole a setup from Joe Gibbs Racing. Allegedly, according to rumors, speculation.
I know they redid a special, they made a new font for Kyle Busch when he took over the 8, but now that Dale Jr. is...
No, that's not happening.
I want to see it. I want it so bad.
Can we just get uniformity at RCR again?
My favorite thing, what was the race this year where he had to go to a backup and it was clear the backup was the 3? You could still see the 3 protruding under the wraps slightly.
It was last year's Daytona 500.
Last year.
Because they're like, Kyle Busch is going to win the Daytona 500 in the 3 car. Earnhardt fans seethe.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Imagine he had won that and Lionel Racing had to find a way to sneak in that detail.
Hey, you could see right here. Like I am a Junior fan through and through. I want to see it happen just for all the Junior fans I know, just to listen to the reaction and just like delve into the salt mine.
Hey, no in the chat says 20 years of trying. That'll be next year.
I know it's only more likely to happen for like a throwback scheme if they do something, but man, I would kind of like it if they just go back to that look because it's the same font as the 3.
For a throwback race would be cool, actually. That would be good.
But I don't try to go for like a DEI, but they could get Bass Pro Shop to sponsor Kyle Busch for like one race. And they could do like a Martin Truex Jr. number 8 throwback.
I like that. I like that a lot. Let's do it.
Someone needs to get Danny in these important rooms. He's making the good calls here.
Or get like Nabisco when they had the old 8 Ritz car down there or something, just so you can. I want the red 8 for Kyle Busch to drive, even if it's not Budweiser, just because I want to see the explosion, man.
They could surely find a red sponsor to do like that. The one that you're probably talking about, the red with the yellow fade on it. Do it like that.
That one too, but there was like that. Remember that one where Junior like pulled away from the pack at Daytona in the Busch race in like '06? He had that like red, like I think it might have been Rit, it might have been like some other sponsor. But like it could be like a Dayglow orange even. I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I so badly want to see it. I know like as an Earnhardt fan I shouldn't, but I do so badly want to see that.
Just seeing Kyle Busch in the Dale Jr. 8 would just be wild.
Oh, it'd be beautiful.
Couple more things on Phoenix here, real quick. Jimmy Johnson, his best finish in the next gen era, 26th.
Hang the banner! Woo!
Hey, he's run top 30 in his last 2 Cup starts and hasn't gotten wrecked. So I actually would call this a win for Jimmy. The paint scheme also looked great. I love the like Phoenix sunset style on the side was really cool.
Something wild. Jarrett had wrote in there in parentheses, best of NG era, and for some reason, I'm thinking best of Noah Gragson era when I see NG because he's got the NG logo. So I see that. I just think Noah Gragson.
I'll save the offseason talk for maybe a little later in the show, and we can talk about Phoenix, the track, in a moment when we look at the poll. But TV ratings for the season finale, Phoenix scored a 1.6 rating, 2.895 million viewers. Roughly flat compared to last year. It was down 1% in ratings. I think last year was 2.9 million viewers, roughly exactly. But for the full season, ratings were slightly up 1% across the board, which is impressive, I think, considering that basically the 4 biggest ratings getters all year all were impacted severely by weather. Like the Clash took a dump in viewership, Daytona took a dump, 600 was cut short, Chicago was delayed. Like the biggest ratings wins from last year all got hit with rain.
And don't forget Nashville was moved to USA, as was Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, I forgot Indianapolis. That could have been a big win as well. That wasn't. So all things considered, to be up 1% against all of that headwind actually is kind of exciting and very encouraging if you're NASCAR.
Only NASCAR's luck that we bring the return of the Brickyard 400, have tons of people watching, their biggest crowd there in like a decade. And that's the day that the president drops out of the presidential race and they need to switch the channels.
I was like, yeah, that's why they switched it. I was like, why did they switch it to USA again? I don't remember wet rain being in the way.
Only
that's right.
NASCAR's luck. Like that doesn't happen in a football season. Like it only happens to NASCAR.
Damn. Where was I? Overall playoffs were up about 4.6% in ratings and viewership year over year. Few notes here. Jarrett marked down the races on the main NBC channel had their highest viewership since 2019, while the USA Network races were actually down year over year. More people cutting the cable cord. It's important to note going into next year, though, because there will be a few more races on cable than there were this year. Worth noting, Xfinity Series on the CW finished with 1.1 million viewers in their finale. That's up 17% over last year's Xfinity finale, though the CW for their final 8 races were down 1.5% compared to last year. It's roughly flat for the CW, slightly down. Xfinity overall was down -4% year over year, still close. Will be interesting next year when we get a full year of the CW to see how the Xfinity ratings compare. I think Xfinity will be up next year. Yeah, especially if they get the streaming side worked out, which they should. I think Xfinity ratings are going to be up next year. Cup, on the other hand, with races on Amazon and more on cable, ratings for Cup, weather permitting, will probably be down a bit, but we'll see. The poll, the famous iceberg poll. How did you all vote this week? Perhaps the most negative poll results I've seen maybe ever. 10% of our 11,000 viewers who voted said this was a great race at Phoenix. 20% said it was good. 21% said it was average, which means 49%, half of y'all basically, said this was a bad race. That's got to be the highest net negativity in quite some time, Jarrett. I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you, but that's spicy.
It's pretty big. I don't have the numbers on me, but if I got to think a while back to like ones this negative before.
And before you get to the comments and the gutter, of course, am I crazy? I actually thought the race, I understand the finish, the champion, very controversial. I get why people voted no or bad, but I actually thought the race was pretty good, especially by modern Phoenix standards. Am I crazy for that? It was okay. Especially the finish was pretty tense. Maybe, I don't know. Am I way off base?
I still think Phoenix sucks personally, but
maybe were you able to watch like more than just the championship fight? Because like that's all we got on TV.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of the broadcast. It was very championship fight focused. I would agree. There were portions earlier in the race where I was hoping they would show some of the battles deeper in the field because there were some, not a ton, but some. But I at least still thought in stage 3, when it got down to the wire, at least the championship, everyone was in the mix. And like Blaney, I thought the race was over with 30 to go. And then Blaney mounted this charge. And I thought Blaney was going to win. And then Logano found an extra gear. At least it came down to the wire in a way that Phoenix raceways haven't historically. So I thought it was, I wasn't going to say it was an amazing race, but I thought it was good. I would say, yeah, that was a good race, especially by Phoenix standards. But maybe I'm wrong.
It gave us exactly what I was hoping it would give us. That 2 years ago, Logano wins the championship without Blaney in there. The next year, Blaney wins the championship without Logano in there. Then those two clearly know how to do it. And I think I tweeted one time, I kept imagining Joey Logano being like Joan Girard. Aha, Ryan Blaney, it is time to dance.
Yeah, I waited all year for a Jean Girard impression from Danny. That's why you watch the stream, folks.
I gave it like a 4 out of 10. I thought it was below average. I didn't think it was awful, but
I guess the in-person glasses were rose-colored this time around.
That's the thing. Like, this is why every person needs to go to a NASCAR race. NASCAR races are awesome in person. Like, hell, even that 2022 Martinsville race that was so awful, like, I still had fun at it. Like, I still enjoyed it. there were some things I could watch from that race. Yeah, but man, you can give myself like 40 Martinsville hot dogs, a bunch of beers to numb me. Ooh.
Yeah, you had like 40 hot dogs in your backpack that you could just sort of like use as like a body heat.
Was it like was it the Xfinity or truck race? One of the races, like you, me, and Slapper in a line. I just opened my backpack. I'm like, you want some glizzies?
It was like the contraband. He was trying to sell me drugs in the Martinsville grandstands.
I'm like, we got hot dogs. We got them with everything. We got them with just this. We got some beer.
With a little bit of backpack lint.
Whatever you want, we got it. Do you have water? That's for me, but yes, we do. We got it all. But it was a fun experience, and there was still stuff that I could watch out there during the race. Like, were those on TV? Like, I heard people watching TV. They're like, it sucked. It was just a parade. I never saw it pass. And I'm like, that's the in-person tax, I think. Yeah. But I'll say it was not the worst next-gen Phoenix race by a wide margin.
Well, that's something at least. Anyway, what did the comments say on the poll, Jarrett?
I warn you now, it is very playoff heavy. Like I go through and like double check to see if I can like find maybe some extra stuff that I can cover, deep in the weeds. But let me double check for a second, because I pulled out 10 comments here, 7 from the main and then the 3 gutter comments. And we had, holy Jesus, we had 702 comments. Which, to put in perspective, we usually don't have that many.
Yeah, that's a lot for us.
Yeah. I'll just say, I don't even care who the first person was. It's probably negative. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, call it negative.
It's from Real Santa Claus.
Oh, Santa, no, he's on the naughty list, Joey, no.
So it's positive, negative meme mix.
I'll say negative meme mix now.
That's what I'm thinking, too.
All right, I had to condense it because he left me a long list.
You wrote a book?
Yes.
He gave you the naughty list.
So he goes, I know everyone is upset with how the season played out, but I know everyone except Logano fans in the NASCAR fandom is on my nice list. About the Calypso controversies with the Daytona 500,
the same person, isn't it?
Indy 500, 600, Chicago, Nashville with 5 overtimes, emails for charter agreements, the 48, Martinsville team orders, all because one NASCAR YouTuber wouldn't finish a book. Calypso, you've been very naughty, and I've got a list for people like you.
Whoa.
Wow, Santa's coming to your defense there, Jarrett. The story
I didn't expect
continues.
a plot twist. I thought it was going to be the same person. That's
Santa Claus has entered the romance novel cinematic universe.
I think Santa is the final call on that one. I want to be on the nice list this year.
Did we just get Jared pardoned by Santa Claus before GTA 6? Oh my gosh.
Pardoned by Santa Claus.
He will be getting extra cookies left out for him this year, for sure. That's not my burner, trust me. I was on air talking to everybody when this comment was being put up there. The comments here, Dunkachino said, imagine a basketball blowout that's 83 to 142 and the NBA steps in, ties the game with 2 minutes left. Silas here says the average finish for a championship in this system keeps getting worse. I saw that graphic where it's like this, and it kind of goes up a bit in the Chase era, a bit now, and then it's like the last 3 years it skyrockets.
Yeah. That's the Blaney. I think last year had the worst average finish of a champion, and then Logano said, "Hold my Pennzoil."
He saved at the pump. T-Wolf says, disappointing. I tried to take Jarrett's approach to watch just for the racing, but it still doesn't sit right with me that a guy outside the top 15 in points all season wins the championship. I think he would have finished 11th when you look at most points accrued over the year, though. Not to say that makes it much better, but to Joey's defense.
It's the defense you could make is he did win 3 playoff races. Didn't do much in the other races, but he won the really important ones.
Denny delivers. What a playoff even year merchant.
Yeah. It's disgusting, honestly.
Skaballs.
Like taking candy from a baby.
Skaballs here says, Bowman better be getting a fat Christmas card.
From Logano.
For being too heavy.
NASCAR fan 2506
too
says,
light, I should say.
Say it with me. The playoffs must go. And then Iguana Vic, or Veer. I can't understand my own Iguana. We're just gonna put that. I can't understand my own handwriting. Says stop going to Phoenix. I'm right with you on that one for the racing at least. The gutter comments here. Oh man, already getting me sick to my stomach. Anthony says 3-time Cup champ out there. I wonder why that got downvoted.
Wow, that's so funny that a very positive comment is in the gutter this week.
Kurt here says just axe the format already.
Oh, okay, I'm surprised that got downvoted.
The lowest of low gutters here from NASCAR shill.
Wow.
Wow. What an upset winner. The NASCAR playoffs create amazing stories, and we all just saw an all-time championship run. Thank you, Steve Phelps, and thank you, Brian France, for an awesome finish.
The upset winner is funny. If any of the college football crossover fans saw the Kirby Smart post Texas win, he was like, "You all doubted me. Your network said I couldn't do it." That's basically what it was like. I wish Joey Logano got out. It was like, "You all doubted me."
He actually did to Bob Pockris in the media center, who apparently picked him not to make the playoffs this year at the beginning of the season. He was like one of the first people he singled out after the race.
I gotta say this though, with the NASCAR shill, like I'm right with Braden in the chat on this. NASCAR shill is legendary and a great
That's the
troll
best account I've seen.
It saddens me
great.
how stupid some NASCAR fans are who are like, "No, it's not. Why are you saying this so serious?" It's like his name is literally NASCAR shill.
Read
How do you
the
not?
name?
It's pretty funny.
Like lay off the moonshine, people. But that is the poll and the comments this week.
Good stuff.
I just realized I need to do this now since there are like 30 to go. If y'all want us to play the game, I mean, I get if you don't want to do it one last time, but I mean, if I understand if you guys don't want to leave us the 600 likes for this one, not got another chance if I don't say it now.
I was going to say, they are flying up the rankings here. We are less than 30 likes away from hitting our like goal, and we barely mentioned it up to this point. So you guys are going above and beyond tonight. More than likely, if we hit that mark, it looks like we are going to do Jarrett's Random Driver of the Week. Always fun. Let's touch on the Xfinity and Truck Series finales real quick. We're going in reverse order. So the Xfinity Series race, this was probably the most fun, most enjoyable, most widely celebrated race of the weekend. Justin Allgaier, in his 7th Championship 4 appearance, finally breaks through to win it. And it was a roller coaster weekend, from sliding through the oil in practice and crashing his primary car to starting at the rear, committing multiple penalties, having a flat tire. To come back from all of that, got a very timely caution in stage 3, but to come back from all of that to still not win the race, but win the championship, extraordinarily impressive. I joked earlier, and I think it's true. We saw in this race both why Justin Allgaier is so great, celebrate. He's had a long, illustrious Xfinity career, but we also saw why it's taken him so long to reach the pinnacle. As he does make some of these mistakes. You can tell the pressure was getting to him at times, but it led to some really fun moments. Danny, what was your reaction to Herbst dominated the race and won it, but Allgaier gets the championship in his 7th try?
It's just about time. It's about time. And I mean, I picked Cole Custer because honestly, at that point, I had kind of fell into Denny Hamlin mode and thought, I don't know if he can win it. So that's why I didn't, think to go with him. So, but it's about time. Good for him. And how about that moment, after he crashed in practice, if y'all saw the clip of him slamming, his hands down on that, was it like I don't know, tool chest? I don't know what it was anymore, but he showed some true emotion there, and it showed how much it means to him that he wants to win this championship. And then I don't think there was a single moment I saw him after he climbed out of the car where he wasn't red in the face and crying. I don't blame him, and I don't blame him. And I know Dale Jr. has watched a lot of drivers come in and win championships, particularly that 9 car. It feels like it's the transfer car before you go up to the Cup. It felt like he's seen a lot of guys come in and win championships in that car, but that 7 car. It started with Danica Patrick, and then, it was, saw some people mix some time in that car. And then Regan Smith took that car over, and Regan Smith started winning races. And, but Regan Smith never won a championship in that car. I feel like he had a few close years, but he never won a championship. Justin Allgaier comes in that car and really makes it his own number. And this has been, outside of the 88, probably their most long-term number. They started in 2010, and now here it is in 2024, finally getting a championship in the 7 car. So long from the days of Danica Patrick saying she wants to come to NASCAR, so they get the 7 car. So now here we are. Justin Allgaier in his 7th attempt wins in the 7 car.
Yeah, it's definitely a great feel-good story, and for me, I felt like the Xfinity Series this year was a lot closer. I know a lot of people brought up, same kind of arguments and different stuff, but like Allgaier was one of those guys that was up there every single week. And there were so many times during this season, Phoenix actually in the spring, where he crashed right at the end, or he'd give a race, away right at the end of it and everything like that. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him because he is somebody who, I said it on Saturday night after the race, where I was like, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame, like arguably first ballot Hall of Famer when you look at where he is in the Xfinity side of things. I mean, when you look
where is he in all-time wins for Xfinity? Is he even like top 10?
Yeah, he's ahead of Dale Jr. now.
I don't know if he's necessarily
he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm not. I don't think so.
No, I'll say he's a Hall of Famer. Definitely not no first
he's
ballot.
Top 10 all time in Xfinity. Like that
is he top 10?
Yeah, he's 10th all time, ahead of Dale Jr., Sam R., Dale Earnhardt.
I mean, if we're gonna discredit guys working this series, then we can't say Ron Hornaday should be a Hall of Famer.
Well, he has, how many championships did he win? Like 3, 4, 3. If Allgaier wins him another title or has a few more big wins,
he's a Hall of Famer.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, I'm gonna read you the list top 10 all-time Xfinity winners. This is the list Justin Allgaier is a part of: Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards, Jack Ingram, Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Burton, Justin Allgaier. He's ahead of Dale Jr., who's a 2-time champion.
Jeff Burton won 21 Cup races and isn't even in the Hall of Fame yet. He keeps not getting the vote. So there's no way Allgaier's
never won a championship. Did he win a championship in Xfinity? I'd have to double check on that because I'm not on top of my head.
Not that I remember.
I don't think he did. I'm man. This is supposed to be a celebratory moment for Allgaier.
It's NASCAR Hall of Fame, not Cup Hall of Fame.
It's like, congrats, Justin Allgaier, but you suck long term.
I don't think his current resume gets him into the Hall of Fame, but that shouldn't take away from the mountain he's climbed to get to this moment.
Oh. Here's a good point. If you want to battle, championships, Matt Crafton has 3 championships and very fewer wins.
Yeah, I think it also goes by series too. Like I would give Cup the number 1 on it, but I'd put Xfinity stuff. I'd put 1 Xfinity title probably over, I'd say 2 truck titles at this point. Sure. I think it's tougher competition.
Yeah.
Maybe. And you look at who also comes down to race in those, who's coming up to race in those. I think it's a stronger field.
The politics could get Allgaier in because he has been around a long time. He's been a good soldier. I think he's well liked, obviously, by influential people like a Dale Earnhardt Jr., for example. Like, we know kind of how this works. I could see him maybe getting votes partially off of that. But I don't. Someone said take that a one-time Xfinity Series champion is going to get into the Hall of Fame. No, this doesn't get him into the Hall of Fame.
Let's poll it then.
but like no, you just okay.
Chat, this man hates Justin Allgaier. Boo this man.
Shame.
You've
I'm
already
kidding.
hit the like goal. You can dislike now for this
No,
sake.
no.
Just kidding.
The problem is you listed out. Oh, he's 10th now in the all-time Xfinity wins list. Like 6 of the guys ahead of him you listed have Cup titles. You know what I mean? Like that he's not on their level. Oh my God, they're all saying yes. No, he's not. I'm calling it right now. Maybe I'll make that one of my predictions later. Justin Allgaier is not a if he wins another title, okay.
How about this?
Chris Buescher. Wait, okay. Is Chris Buescher is a NASCAR Hall of Famer? He's got Cup wins and an Xfinity title.
Yeah, but he's not as high up on the list.
Ricky Stenhouse is a 2-time Xfinity champion. He's in the Hall of Fame. Are we going to say Ricky Stenhouse is in the Hall of Fame?
Let's see where those guys are when it comes to the Xfinity Series all time, though. Like
Ricky Stenhouse is a Daytona 500 winner.
Don't mind me. I'm just pushing goalposts here.
Okay, if Allgaier's a Hall of Famer, Ricky Stenhouse is a Hall of Famer. They're on the same level. Absolutely.
But again,
100% they're on the same level.
I'm adding in championships to also wins in total as well. And I get,
Stenhouse has the Cup wins.
How many though?
Yeah. Like 4 or 5, but he's got the Daytona 500.
Again, though, if you're top 10 in a top tier NASCAR series and wins all time, I think you should be in the Hall of Fame. I do. So, we'll expand that to trucks. I'll scroll down on my list here. Like, Matt Crafton is top 10 all time in trucks and a champion.
He's a 3-time champion. Yeah, that I have no problem with him being a Hall of Famer one day.
He won a champion of no
but would
wins.
you value Xfinity Series over Truck Series? And how much value would you put into that, I think is a question. Like Jack Sprague and Mike Skinner tied for 3rd all time in truck wins with 28. Like it's
and they're not in, right? Aren't they not in the Hall of Fame yet?
I've checked, but I don't think so. But
I don't think they are. I think they're
Hornet.
If
I
they're
agree
not
should
in,
be in.
That's all I'm saying is if some of these guys you just named aren't in,
but Eric,
then how can you put Stenhouse
you
in?
can't argue the merit of one driver based on the bad voting of a panel beforehand and other drivers like that.
Well, I'm saying right now,
is his career one of the best all time in this series?
I guess,
that's the
but
question.
Is it one of the best all time in NASCAR? Because it's not the Xfinity Hall of Fame. It's the NASCAR.
But we have modified drivers that are up there.
Who won 7 or how many did Stefanik win? He won like 20 championships or something ridiculous.
It's arguable since NASCAR owns ARCA now that Frank Kimmel for his success in ARCA might get in one day.
But then you have to then weigh the series as well. How much moving up the ranks from regional to lower tier with trucks or ARCA to Xfinity, then Cup. Like, I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has 2 Xfinity titles, but has no Cup titles. And I'm pretty sure the majority of the voting to get him in the Hall of Fame was on the Cup side of things. So it's
because he won 26 Cup races. He's an ambassador of the sport. Allgaier
has 25 Xfinity races.
Yeah, but he has no Cup wins. He's got 1 champ. You named several truck guys like who haven't gotten in yet, who I think right now, if you put me up to a vote, like Mike Skinner or Justin Allgaier, I'd pick Mike Skinner, I believe. And I'd have to look at the stats exactly. But so that's what I'm saying. If Skinner isn't even getting the vote, you said Jeff Burton or Justin Allgaier, I'd probably take Jeff Burton, and he hasn't gotten in yet. He hasn't gotten the vote. So I'm just saying, like, Allgaier could sneak in eventually, but there are several guys still on the ballot right now who haven't gotten in, who I would easily take over Allgaier. And I would honestly argue Stenhouse versus Allgaier is a real debate.
But I think
that's a genuine debate.
It's weighing a full career in that series. Again, it's not Cup Series Hall of Fame. It's Xfinity. It's not Xfinity. It's not truck. It is full NASCAR Hall of Fame. And I think that excelling in one series should not be kind of discounted because he wasn't good in other series or because other guys haven't made it in yet. Like, there's plenty of, I mean, let me see. I think it was a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's been really good bands that weren't in that, but, that had more accomplishments than others. Doesn't mean they don't deserve to be there. It means they need to be there eventually. And that's where I'm at with Allgaier. Like, sure, maybe pushing it with first ballot, but I definitely think he should be celebrated for how much he's accomplished in this series.
Okay, let's end it here because I sound like the biggest first ballot. What are we talking about? No, okay. I'm going to end it here because Justin Allgaier is an absolutely great driver. What he's done in Xfinity for such a long time should be commended. I'm so thrilled he got this championship, but everyone's gone off the deep end. If we're starting to talk about first ballot Hall of Famer, we're losing the.
I think that's
here.
pushing.
Definitely not that.
I think it's pushing, but I do think he should be in. I think he should.
Oh my goodness! All right, well. We'll see in about
he's gonna
5-10 years. We'll find out.
In my opinion, but he's not a first ballot.
If he wins another title, I would say he probably you could make a real argument. But
He's got
I
plenty
just,
more time to win another one and see what happens.
wow.
So
Yeah, see, people are saying I'm a hater, and it's like I
I
know
don't think you're a hater. I think you just disagree.
I think I'm being very reasonable right now, but I sound like a hater because again, this is supposed to be a celebratory moment for Justin Allgaier. I did not mean to bring down the mood here.
I might
Anyway.
agree with Steve-O here. He said I would put Frank Kimmel in before Justin at this point. Frank Kimmel had a lot of championships. Like granted, it's ARCA, he had a lot of championships. I would probably hold that above Allgaier right now.
I'd hold Xfinity. I'd hold one Xfinity title over like 5 or 6 ARCA titles, just from strength of
It is
field.
like the same stuff I've been hearing on college football Twitter of like they're saying like if Indiana loses, I'll put in a 2-loss SEC team over a 1-loss Indiana. And I'm like, this is getting confusing.
Where was I with Xfinity? We can move off Justin Allgaier. Riley Herbst dominates. Don't want to move past that. Cool for Stuart Haas to get a race win in their final weekend as Stuart Haas, which is pretty cool. The Anthony Alfredo incident got walled by Stephen Parsons. Appeared to right hook Stephen Parsons. Alfredo was parked 2 laps by NASCAR for aggressive driving, which I think was the right call. They then went on to penalize him 25 points, hit him with a $25,000 fine. I did see Tommy Joe Martins, the owner of Parsons's car, said that, hey, like he and Anthony had a good conversation. He even said he doesn't believe Alfredo did it on purpose. I haven't seen SMT. None of us have. It looked like he did it on purpose. I'm just going to say he probably did it on purpose, lost his cool in the moment, is what it is. He's paid the price for it. This is how it should be. In the moment, NASCAR made the right call, I think. You had to do something there, and we move on. I don't hold anything against Anthony Alfredo.
I think we've all had good interactions with Anthony Alfredo. This doesn't seem like something he'll do often. I think he just lost his cool.
Yeah,
it is kind of interesting. I saw the argument about like like Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace got suspended for right rear hooking. What's the difference with this one? And I'm like, I at least understand where they're coming from with that, where it's like it is a good argument in the sense of like, are we just going to kind of reevaluate how we penalize over aggressive driving, 2-lap penalties versus, because I mean it looked like he did it on purpose. It was a right rear hook up into the wall. Is it the speed of track? Like it's I think it's a good question of discrepancy on this one.
I think it's because it was the last race of the year. Like, what are you going to suspend him for Daytona? Like that, I don't know. Like, I think that's part of it. I don't know if unfortunately is the right word, but I think that did play a role, whether that's right or not. Yeah, well, Xfinity Series interesting in 2024. Excited for 2025. A lot of young drivers entering the series. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's too many to count. I mean, you have guys like Christian Eckes, Carson Kvapil, Connor Zilic will be full time. Daniel Dye, our boy, Nick Sanchez. I'm doing my best here. Taylor Gray. I mean, Sawala. Shoot, I'm just trying to rattle off a lot of good young talent in Xfinity next year. Will be interesting to watch. It's really earning the names are made here moniker once again. And then real quick, before we get to our second Super Chat stage break, let's talk trucks. Ty Majeski dominates. I think he led 132 out of 150 laps. That race was over in a flash. Unlike last year's race that devolved and went on late into the evening, we all were begging for it to end. Ty Majeski
he whooped him.
Yeah, wiped his hands of the field.
I feel for
impressive.
Christian Eckes, though. I mean, he put a god tier season together and isn't even
5.5 average finish, and he ends up what? Third in points, second, third,
outside of the top 10 once.
Yeah,
once.
That's crazy.
Like that. Like I don't get me wrong. I understand like the argument with Logano and stuff like that, but I think just as much in the other direction of someone being so good and not being rewarded for it. Like Christian Eckes had a god tier. I think you could argue with the competition heightened a little bit more. Maybe you could argue those first couple seasons, but I think that was a feel out period for the series, that had similar seasons. Like you could argue this was the best overall season in trucks someone has ever put together. And how
many wins did he have? Four wins, right? 5.5 average finish.
He led like almost every race. Like,
he was great.
Like, wasn't it like all the way till like September? Well, it might have been Kansas that we were at, or maybe another one, but it was like he led every single race at least one lap, and was all. I gotta look up his season again.
I think the most iconic win for him this season was one that I was at the truck race at Bristol where he passed Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch eventually had problems. But I mean, he ended up lapping Kyle Busch, and he just looked like a dominant, driver at that point, winning Bristol in a race where Kyle Busch was there.
Nashville. He led every single lap.
Oh, he did.
He led every lap of Nashville. He led a lap in every race but Bristol and the finale. He led 187 of 200 at Martinsville.
That's crazy, actually.
Listen to this. Listen to this season that he put together. 10th at Daytona and then 32nd, his DNF at Atlanta. After Atlanta, 6th, 1st, 8th, 1st, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 10th, 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 6th, 9th, 1st, 3rd.
Someone tuning in right now is like, what is happening?
I am a bot after all.
Speaking in binary.
Insane. And
very insane.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
big picture, he's been rewarded with a competitive Xfinity seat for next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people noticed, no doubt. When we look back at Christian Eckes' Truck Series tenure, we'll talk about this fantastic season.
He had a reverse Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain was in the 2022 Final Four, didn't win a championship. Then Ross is not in the 2023 Final Four. He wins the race. Last year, Christian Eckes wins the 2023 race. He's not in the championship four. This year he's in the championship four, doesn't win the race.
There's just no catching Ty Majeski. I mean, we kind of all sort of highlighted that, hey, do we trust him and this team in this important race? Maybe, maybe not. But this is his track type. This is right in his wheelhouse. Heim, Eckes had put together the slightly better overall seasons, but if Ty Majeski could pick the championship venue, he'd probably pick Phoenix. Short track racer from the Midwest, good on these short flat ovals. No, really remarkable run. I thought it was a pretty good race as well, but Ty Majeski dominated. I think Corey Heim passed him in the early stage, like one of the first stages, but once Majeski got back around him, there was nobody in his zip code.
First or second year in the 19, I don't remember.
Eckes?
Yeah. He was a KBM driver.
This was at least I think it's his second full-time season, right? Or was it I think it's his second full-time season, and I think he was part-time the year before that, but I could be wrong. He had a part-time year.
Safe flight for.
I got to say this, though. I was just so happy this was not like last year. Like, the truck series this year definitely had its issues at times, like every other truck season, because of just the caliber of driver, but they genuinely impressed me this year by the improvement of the field. Like, through the whole season.
Sure.
I think they had the lowest amount of caution laps since before COVID this year. And I thought they were going to have 1,000 because we were on track
random
for that.
Stat.
And so it's like, and the great part is a lot of the high caliber talent in this series is coming back next year. So
it's true. Majeski will be back.
I feel about the truck series for 2025 the way I felt about Xfinity last year, where I was like, holy crap, Xfinity's going to be loaded. We have like all these great drivers that are clearly in their last year. They're going to go for it, like Ty Gibbs, Noah Grace. Like, that's how I feel. Like Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, Raja Caruth, like all of these drivers will be better. Like,
Riggs is going to be feisty next year.
He is. And that 38 team, I think, is going to come back with a force. So this is probably the first time since pre-COVID I've been excited for a truck season. Like, I cannot wait to see truck and Xfinity for sure next year. Cup, still some questions for me, especially with the lawsuit stuff going on, but like the lower series for us, like diehard fans that are going to watch every single race, like I think we're going to have some really good stuff next year when it comes to those series.
Agreed.
Impressive. I'm going through the list of the last few truck series champions. Just how about Four Sport? They've stuck around over the years. They've not left the series. They get guys who aren't necessarily going to leave their team, their program. They're an interesting organization. They're based in Ohio? Is that where they're from?
Yeah.
I think they're based in Ohio, and then they've got here in the Nashville, Tennessee area, I think close to Murfreesboro, they've got a horse farm there that they work with.
I think it was just announced because they had like some base in Tennessee too, because we had the horse, and all that too. They just announced today, I think they're moving all their operations to North Carolina next year.
Oh, wow.
I think that was Rackley.
Was that Rackley?
That was Rackley War.
Okay, yeah. Well, that must have been Rackley Ward then.
Yeah, I think Thor Sport's still in Ohio.
Rackley Ward's another one. Like Dawson Sutton has put together some solid runs. I knew I was going to get somebody confused tonight.
The point I was trying to make there is, how about Four Sport? Since 2013, they've won 6 Truck Series championships.
Wow, that's true. Crafton a couple, Ben Rhodes a couple.
Rhodes, and now with Majeski.
Damn.
Damn.
Very impressive. With probably a couple different manufacturers in there. Some are probably Toyota, some are probably Ford.
And it's funny though, if I go for the list of like who's in there that's won it since then, GMS gone, another GMS,
KBM maybe.
Tim Harvick.
there's what was Hattori. They're not pretty much gone. They're barely here.
Kevin Harvick
KBM
Incorporated.
gone.
Yeah.
And then before then, let's see, that was James Busher and whatever. I'm forgetting the name of that one now. Gone. RCR not there anymore. The Germain Racing gone.
Wow.
Kevin Harvick. All the teams that won besides them are gone.
They are king of the hill, fighting everybody off that mountain. It's impressive.
This is
kind of scary when you put it like that. They're like killing off their competition.
Slowly but surely.
Jeez.
This is such a weird night because we're just going to the super chat stage break or
Yeah.
anything. Are we gonna do a Coke 600? Just add a super chat stage break in, or are we just
might
gonna go
have
to
to.
the lightning round?
This is going to be a 3-hour show. Let's just
I'm
admit it.
gonna bang through a few more super chats here, and then we'll get into the lightning round. I left off with Tyler Dotson. Amazing points battles in IMSA F1. Whoops, hold on. Let me give it another thing. IMSA F1, IndyCar, and MotoGP all prove you can have title battles with full season standings. Is the F1 championship battle any closer this year? Has someone caught up to Verstappen?
I haven't paid attention.
I know he's not winning as much, but I didn't think anyone. Anyway, but yes, you can have good battles full season. That's objectively true. SW says 2024 is a crazy season with an anticlimactic end. I don't know if anticlimactic is the right word, but a certainly less enthusiastic finish. You know what I mean? Like it was climactic. Certainly people are riled up, but not for mostly positive reasons. Jack C Sports says, "What up? I just want something where it feels like the playoffs. This format is like a gimmick. Go to 10 races straight. No more winning in. Keep 16 drivers." That's a little closer to what your format was, Jarrett. Denny Hamlin's unwanted dog here says, RIP to Ken Squire, Cale Yarborough, and Bobby Allison, all three key figures to NASCAR's most famous call, now all gone within a year. Yeah,
It wasn't the right thing to say with that name because I was laughing at the name, but then it looked like I'm laughing at what he's saying.
yeah, that's true. The juxtaposition was a bit jarring there, but overall, great point. Very sad to lose those legends within a fairly short period of time. Bryce Dislocation Sizemore, using their full name now, appreciate what you all do. If they make a change in the format, I hope it'll be a fix in 2026. I'm willing to wait so they get it right. That's what I think could happen, honestly, because the schedule's already set for next year. Maybe they don't make many changes in 2025. Fans will be pissed, but then 2026, they'll do a big overhaul like we were suggesting. Shorty PJM says, like you all said, I know wheel. My Jolo. This is the Penske dynasty. As promised, my twin at Latoya Cheetah is here as well. Yes, I've seen you both in the chat. Lots of celebrations going on there. So there are some Joey Logano fans out there enjoying this week. Napa Racing fan says 22 co-champions include Spindrick and the 48 team. Sorry, Danny.
My thoughts was if Bowman had to be out for him, I had to root for Logano the whole way. I just,
Dang.
that's what had to be done.
I'll do two more, I think, here. Zardy says when Logano wins number 4, he'll be better than Gordon.
Them's fighting words for the old fans.
Just like I've been saying, not better, just different. And then Isaac V24 says, favorite NASCAR memory this year, seeing SVG's first win at Portland with my grandma. The only race I watched with her before she passed. RIP, rest in peace, grandma. That's both sweet and also very sad to hear, Isaac. But glad you guys got to experience that memory together this year. I'll do one more here because it's sort of a follow-up to Shorty PJM's super chat. But Latoya says, thank you at Shorty PJM. It's the twin here to say, my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the moment, Joey Lo effing Gano, a 3-time GOAT.
I love it.
Gosh, that's we've been waiting to find some enthusiastic Joey Logano fans this week. We finally found some.
Hey,
they'll go to war with Santa, man.
They'll say it with their whole chests. They are, yeah. Thank you all for the super chats. We will get to the remaining super chats and any new ones that come in at the end of the show. We got 1 hour to go. Random driver of the week. You guys hit the 600 likes earlier. Thank you all so much. We'll get there shortly. This show is packed, I know. For now, though, it's time for the lightning round. Jarrett, hit us with the final lightning round of the year.
As soon as you did that, you got struck. I like it. Thunderstruck. Well, first off, of course, we have the main channel that we re-upload everything to. I have a feeling it's going to be a little later into the Thursday or Friday morning that we get this one up. But at NWP Clips, it is just NWP as a channel. We'll have the full episodes up for you this off season, and who knows, maybe we do off season meetings to like prepare for the next year. Maybe we'll just make one of those public and just have like a 30-minute special in the middle of the year. Who knows? I don't know. We got to get that channel up and going a little bit more. So be sure to subscribe to that. Any updates or maybe even polls that we might have for stuff for next year will probably be over there. So if you want to say into what happens in the future, just saying, we put polls up every off season. A lot will be over there.
The people are asking. NWP Christmas special?
Ho, ho, ho. We'll have Santa come on. Corey Haim, of course, returning to trucks next year was announced. And I'll give you this. I want to ask you guys, and I'll let the chat do over you for under. 6.5 wins over under next year for Corey Haim.
6.5.
I'll
take the under.
I go under.
I think it's hard to win 7 races in trucks.
Justin,
there'll be some motors who step up in there, I think.
Justin Allgaier announced that he's actually going to be having shoulder surgery this offseason. So another one on top of the great storylines, another great storyline.
He earned it.
I'm wondering if Dale Jr. is going to have shoulder surgery after carrying that flag everywhere, man.
God, he almost banged it. He kept banging it on the walls and on the ceiling in the media center, but it held firm.
What kind of ceiling did it have? Is it like those like bars and like little panels? I feel like he just like poked those out.
Yeah, well, he like hit it on the door jamb, and then he was a hazard.
Let's see. Adding more into the lightning round here, there's a rumor that NASCAR could be considering running the same COTA layout as supercars, an abridged version of what they run now at COTA. So
it's fine with me. There's like no seats way out there in like turns 9, 10, 11, really. So it's like, might as well just keep them closer to where the fans are sitting.
It'd make cautions quicker, probably too.
That's also true.
But though it would get rid of some pretty good passing zone.
There's one really good passing zone. Yeah.
Remember the axle out of the truck earlier this year at COTA over there?
Was that over in that? Yeah, was that in that section of the track?
I'm pretty sure it was, but it's like you just see the truck sitting there on the screen and the axle, like the entire rear everything is like on the other end of the track. NASCAR 25 news here. Dale Jr. posted on X that iRacing is putting together the soundtrack. So what songs do you want in the game? I put a list together I can read off. Breaking Benjamin actually showed interest in saying that they wanted to be on with one of their new songs. So
Diary of Jane is still the most iconic NASCAR main menu song, in my opinion.
Oh my God.
Was it 07?
My hometown. We're going to get that one.
I was joking when we were joking in our group chat, but when I think it was Steve, who was it? Steve Myers? He came out and said, "Hey, we see all your suggestions. Some are out of our budget. Like Metallica, as great as they are, they're not in our budget." And we were joking in the chat, they should just get Tim Duggar to cover Metallica. They could use that.
The thing is, some of the old games had some niche bands that I feel like they could get and I know for years the Nationwide and Xfinity series used Ready to Roll by Jet Black Stare before the races began with like a little promo package that would show on the video boards. And that was in NASCAR 09. I'm like, that's one that could be a fun bring back from an old game.
I put together a list of 12 on my Twitter that I thought were pretty good. And it got a little conversation going.
I didn't see it. What was it? What was it? Was it Avenged Sevenfold?
There was one Avenged Sevenfold, Shepherd of Fire, because I think that's a pretty good one. I would love Chapter 4, but that's kind of niche. But I have the other ones here if you want to hear them.
Sure. Let's see if I've heard of any of them.
The Trooper by Iron Maiden, just because of the speed of it. We can sub this one out for another one of her songs, but I was thinking Steve McQueen by Sheryl Crow. Dale Jr. was in the music video for that one, but you could also put Real Gone. I get that. The nostalgia there for cars. Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. The NASCAR theme. Dun, 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 that one.
Yeah, you got to have that in there somewhere.
You got to have that. Ghost by Bad Flower. That song was everywhere in like 2019, and I think it's a one-hit wonder for them.
Someone would have to play it for me, but that sounds cool.
Sideways by Dierks Bentley.
Ooh.
Motley Crue, Post Malone. You had two of your drivers in that. Why wouldn't you try and get that song if you couldn't?
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Higher by Creed. I had to get a Creed song in there.
When you take me higher.
Like, just imagine you just won the Bristol Night Race. You're going to the menu screen. Can you take me
It hits.
higher?
Then three more here. Overblown by Mudhoney, Song 2 by Blur, and Dance the Night Away by Van Halen.
The ones I recognize all seem like good choices. Let's hope iRacing has it in their budget.
One more underrated one from a previous game. I don't know if any people remember, but NASCAR '08 had Radio by Big and Rich. They had a couple Big and Rich songs, but Radio by Big and Rich is a good one. So crank it up tonight on the radio.
You got to have some country songs on there. I know people are like, don't have everything be that, but it's like, have some of those, get some rock, get some hip hop rap. Like, you got mix it up a little bit. Like,
yeah.
But I like it. Longtime supporter of all of our channels on this show, Gee Whiz of the Stars, actually put up, some of her different stuff she's put out before and used on Slap Shoes' videos. And I was
That's right. I saw that.
Original soundtracks for games too. We got to have some, like, make our own really good theme for the iRacing games. Like, I would love that. Like, if we could have just our own theme that's like really badass or something, like, I'd love that.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah, I would like some, like, just original instrumentals would be really cool.
Yeah, because like remember the old Thunder games had those, and and they had like a million different ones, and Joe Satriani made a bunch of them. Like, why not try that again? Modernize that too. Let's see. Finishing out here, there was a test today in Rockingham for the Xfinity Series, not open to the public, but getting it ready to go. And then not next week, even though it says it, but next year, January 29th, season 8 premiere on my channel. So
never too early to mark your calendars. January 29th.
And that'll do it. I'm gonna one more time strike Eric with lightning. There he goes. Oh man, I hit him right in the face.
That one hurt. Gosh, you got to watch where you throw that thing, Zeus.
Yeah, we might have to revamp that for next year.
And up next, we're going on to picks. We're going to pick the Daytona 500. Defending winner of this race is William Byron.
Danny, we got a couple months we can wait. We're not going to rush right into this. I think everyone needs to decompress after a tumultuous couple of weeks here to end the season. But we'll do the random driver in a moment. Let's just quickly run through a few of these headlines. Jared, do you have the headlines ready?
I do.
2311 in front row were denied their preliminary injunction request. They are going to appeal. Don't know how long that'll take or how that's going to work. In their statement, the team said they were pleased that the judge agreed to fast track their case. Also, don't really know what that means. I certainly think if this case gets to actually gets to discovery where some of NASCAR's records will go public, I think that will put some pressure on NASCAR. But until it truly gets to that point, this seems like a pretty big win for NASCAR, that now there's pressure immediately put on the teams to figure out how they're going to race next year. Because if they race next year, currently the terms say they would have to agree to a clause that says, I will not sue NASCAR. So how does that work? You're suing NASCAR, but if you want to race, you have to sign something that says, I won't sue NASCAR. You see, so right now in the immediate future, I think there's real pressure put on the teams to try and figure something out. There's pressure on this case. Could it get thrown out entirely? But long term, if they do end up fast tracking this to discovery, that's when NASCAR will finally have their feet held to the fire. I don't know if you guys have any other takeaways from that. That's just the way I read it, but it's all very fluid still.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw somebody say that in appealing though, they do run the risk of the entire thing getting thrown out.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how true that is.
Once again, speaks to their immediate pressure right now is on the teams, I think, after this ruling.
I really do think they're probably going to be running as open cars next year, if they're able to run. And the duels are going to be insane.
Especially if they bring Truex out too. It's like there's would they waive that maybe and say, Martin, sorry, we're not gonna do it.
So, but for one reason, I think they'd have Truex be the sacrificial lamb if need be. I know people don't like team.
I got a feeling Truex may be in a Jimmy Johnson car.
In the 84. Oh yeah, they like it. Well,
Jimmy's coming back next year. He announced for select races.
Okay, not Jimmy Johnson's car, just Legacy. Have another one.
Either way, it would be a Toyota entering another Toyota that could knock out a full-time Toyota. I don't know if they would want to risk that.
I could totally see, especially Jimmy, because I don't think he has anything really to win or lose at this point or gain. I could see some of these older guys being, again, used as the sacrificial lambs to push the big teams up the rankings a bit and get into the race. Like,
It
I know
could
people
be.
don't want to hear that, but it's like, all it takes, we saw it last year, all it takes is one person to screw up a bump draft and they're getting sent into the wall at 180 miles an hour. So
Yeah. It's interesting. This is going to be one. Oh, sorry, it's just the mic. It's going to be one of the offseason storylines to follow. Is, does this appeal get accepted? How fast are we talking? Could this case really start to progress over the next couple months? I guess we'll have to wait and see. State of the sport. Just want to run through a few of these. On Friday, Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell sat down with the media. They doubled down and said the playoffs are here to stay, but they're open to tweaks, which I think is what sparked the whole playoff format debate over the past few days. O'Donnell said that he does not think the sport has an officiating problem, but then went on to talk about how they might be able to utilize technology to make calls quicker. I actually didn't have a problem with this quote. If he had just said, we don't have an officiating problem, we're just going to try and be better, then I would have said, okay, BS. But the fact that he did specifically talk about technology, he even mentioned AI, using it to perhaps pick up certain things on the track they can't immediately see. Like, and he even said this, I don't want AI calling races, but if there's ways technology can help you make these calls more efficiently, I'm all for that. So I actually didn't have a problem with his comments, but I know a lot of people didn't like it. I get it. You say we don't have a problem, everyone's going to say, what the, you obviously do. We've seen a lot of bad calls this year. And that's very true. But
No
at least
one
it
wants full control of by AI, but it's a little assistance from AI. It's not so bad.
If they have some sort of, if they're really planning on revamping some tech to help with officiating next year, that's encouraging. I'll believe it when I see it, I guess. But my point is, what he said to me wasn't bad. I don't know. Do you disagree, Jarrett?
I think that, the problem is that these things turn into just fluff fest. They're not going to come out and be like, man, the sport, we have never been in a worse position ever. Like, they're never going to say that. But I think the problem is like they fluff it up too much to where they just set themselves up for this. And it wouldn't be paid attention to as much if Martinsville didn't just happen. So it's like, it's funny. I saw this edit where someone goes, where it's him being like, we have the best officials in the world. We do not have an officiating problem. And then it's like 5 minutes later, and it's like, what happened there and having to call that at the end and the rules with what happened at Martinsville pisses me off. And it's like, Steve, you just said there wasn't a problem. But they do need to change some stuff, because we have seen a marked decrease in quality of officiating in NASCAR. Really, a lot of people point since David Hoots left, and it's not exactly gotten better in key moments. And that's the thing. It's like 90% of the time we're not going to care about it. It's those key moments when it affects huge amounts of the season, championship races, stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world. I just sometimes at the state of the sport, I kind of just wish that they would not try and go to the nth degree to defend themselves,
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's all, for me, the state of the sport's all about reading between the lines. And that's what you can kind of, like with the playoff stuff, they say, hey, we like our playoffs. I'm like, okay, of course you're going to say that. But then they leave the door open, but we could tweak it. I'm like, oh, okay. Reading between the lines, there's something there. Like, that's what it kind of comes down to for me. There was some just straight up news. They sort of dropped, like, Xfinity is going to be back as the title sponsor, at least for next year, for the Xfinity series. There had been some questions around that. They also mentioned, once again, they are close, having conversations with a fourth manufacturer, cautiously optimistic. They're hoping within the next few years they could get one of these new OEMs on track. They're hoping to eventually get 5 OEMs total. They've been saying this basically since Dodge left. So there were some reports out of the IndyCar side that Honda might have been interested in NASCAR, and they maybe still are. Maybe that's who he's referring to. We'll see. This is very much one of those wait until you see it, just before I really react. Who knows? I don't know if you guys have anything else to add, but that was the state of the sport. How you kind of touched on this on one of your videos this week, Jarrett, and you kind of said it there. Like, what is your confidence level in NASCAR leadership right now? The Steves and friends.
I'll be honest. It's probably the lowest I've been on NASCAR leadership in a long, long time. It's just the way this year's ended, and the way that, like, there's been so many issues that have, like, seemingly just went unaddressed until they blow up. It's hard for me to be confident in them. Now, if they make meaningful changes and it's clear they're trying to push into a clear, big, meaningful direction to fix these things and not just give lip service, then again, I'll give him a bit more confidence. Like the only one I have any real confidence in NASCAR leadership, like consistently, is Ben Kennedy, and that's probably more because it seems like he at least understands what a fan closer to like our demographic and age would want, rather than a bunch of guys who just say the same thing over and over again.
It's and they also don't trot him out on camera as often as the other guys, so it's like he's less likely to say something or step in it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you look at some of the biggest success stories that have been like really iffy to fans, whether it be schedule changes, back in the day he ran the Truck Series pretty well. Like he has a very good track record. Now, of course, Brian France had a very good track record before 2004-3, whenever he came in, and it didn't end out well. But I'm not going to judge Ben Kennedy off of what Brian France did. I'm going to judge him off what he's done, and until he proves me wrong, I think he can do a better job in the future than a lot of the leadership. Now, same with like Jim France. Like, you know, it's like I want to believe he'll do better, but it's like it just kind of feels like we're running the same boat that we had under Brian France. You know, it's kind of how I feel about it at this point.
I would agree. My confidence in just NASCAR leadership overall is probably the lowest it's been since Brian France. So that would have been over the past 5-6 years. And it's just everything, you know, like I've my confidence in the design team, the R&D team has been low for a couple of years now because the next gen has shown up with so many more design flaws than I think anyone was hoping or expecting. But like you said, the schedule, Ben Kennedy and his team have killed it over the last couple of years. So my confidence there is high. With the Steves, I'm kind of neutral. Elton Sawyer, I think he says a lot of the right things. I do respect how transparent NASCAR is compared to a lot of other big leagues. Like you don't get this kind of I don't know if transparency is the right word, but like, you know, Roger Goodell's not going in front of, you know, the media every year, or you know, the head of a NFL officiating isn't going out every single week to explain certain calls. Like they don't do that. So I will give NASCAR leadership credit for at least being more visible. That is to say, the Steves and Elton Sawyer. Jim France, you kind of touched on it there. I don't really have any, I never really had an opinion on Jim France, but the more and more I see and hear, my opinion gets worse and worse. Like I'm not going to say he's not present. He's not visible. He's not near, like Steve Phelps is walking amongst fans every weekend.
Yes.
Jim France does not. Jim France is in hiding, sometimes even from his own competitors and, you know, partners. Like he doesn't want to meet with the teams. He doesn't want to do this. Doesn't, you know, like, and that, you know, I think that's from NASCAR side. Maybe he is the leader they want. They don't, you know, they need a strong, quiet, you know, decisive leader. But I don't know. I think at this stage where the sport is, everyone should err on the side of collaboration. And that's where I think Ben Kennedy has thrived. And I think the Steves are okay at this. That's where Jim France doesn't seem to thrive. He's very stubborn, it sounds. And I don't think that's what NASCAR really needs right now. So I'm kind of with you, Jarrett. Maybe not quite as negative, but I agree that it's probably the least confidence I've had overall in the sanctioning body since 2018.
Really quick, before we go on to anything else, I realized because of how big the Phoenix weekend is, when we talked about it, we did not cover something.
What did we miss?
Very big on the show's end. We have
our show's end?
For the first time since the first year we did this, we do have a new pick points champion.
Oh, are we doing that now?
I think we should. I think we should spring it on them when they're least expecting.
Chat. Oh, all right. Well, let's break this down. So
I won year one.
Yes. And then has the chat won the last 2 years?
Chat won 2 in a row, but now for the first time since I won, we have someone different than the chat that's won.
You're kidding me. I picked Joey Logano. That was enough. I did it. I can't believe it. What?
Danny somehow swept the weekend. I don't know how he did this. No, okay. In all seriousness, do you want to say it, Jarrett? I want to hear it.
Congratulations to the 2024 Pick Point champion, first-time champion, Eric Estep, won by 4 points over the chat, 5 over me, 18 over Danny B. Our closest championship fight ever lands with Eric getting the victory right at the end.
Ooh, second,
so much
first.
Prefer this format. What was I, like 200 points back last year?
Yeah.
Like me and Claudia talked about that on our walk this week, like how much better this is, because like last year I'd be like, okay, I pick Tyler Reddick. You guys, yeah, Tyler Reddick. Yeah, I like Tyler Reddick. Yep, we all agree on Tyler Reddick. And I say, well, I disagree. I think Byron will win it. And then Tyler Reddick wins the race. And then it ties for first place points. And then there I am with the last place points.
It definitely, what it used to be.
This was better.
It did not push to go out there and pick your own person. It just pushed to go along with the crowd, and we definitely needed a change on that. So we listened to our crew members and the chat themselves, like NASCAR.
Paladin makes a great argument in the chat. Is Eric a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I would argue, how many are in the first ballot first? Because I think the chat has earned it with 2 in a row, but I don't know, man. Eric, like, we're looking here and it's only 1, and we have a new points format and everything, so I don't know if we can grade it the same way as the ones the chat won.
What are we doing? Yeah, that's funny. Well, I will say 2 things. Ty Majeski came in clutch for me. I'm glad that y'all left him on the board for me. That was big. But more importantly, thank you, Riley Herbst, for passing Justin Allgaier on the last lap at Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm looking at this here, and I realized had I picked Majeski instead of picking Riggs, because Riggs was up there. Riggs was actually one of the only people.
I thought he had a shot there for a second.
And he spun himself out, but had Riggs won that, or I picked Majeski, I would have won.
Damn.
If I would have just picked Majeski and Justin Allgaier, guys, I mean,
you would have won with it. You would have swept and won. And then the chat, yeah. If Allgaier doesn't let Herbst by, the chat would actually the chat would still lose.
I picked the wrong SHR car. If I picked Riley Herbst, I wouldn't have won, but I'd been a lot closer, I think.
But I mean, you look at it here. I mean, the difference really was, that pass and then Byron and Reddick. That was it. Had they been swapped, they were fighting for position towards the end of that race. That's all it took in that last weekend. But again, we had a full season to put it together, and every single one of us had like a 3 to 10, I'd even say like a 3 to probably 6-7 week span where we all just sucked. So remember the start of the year, I pulled out to a big lead, and then I just started sucking. Danny, like in the start of the year, got this big lead
for a few weeks,
and you started like sucking there, and then like Eric, at the end of the summer, you were on fire, and then for like until Talladega, you were awful.
Let's not forget, first race of the year, Jarrett picked someone who wasn't in the race.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
this is like how where did Kyle Larson lose?
My God.
Was it when he sat out Charlotte?
I'm just realizing, had I picked anyone really that wasn't last, I would have won had that happened. Because I finished 5 back, and if I just picked whoever was like third most, I would have won. That's insane. But let's not also. We also must acknowledge one other thing: a historic choke by the chat. They were up by almost a full race with like 6 weeks remaining, and they blew it.
Hey, he said it, not me, but
it's true. Yes. I mean, they were saying it in the chat too.
You guys you'll better luck next year, chat. You'll get back on your winning streak.
I might as well just pick the Kevin LePage for a race again. I mean,
it's an implosion in the chat.
I'm gonna put.
Y'all should have picked Ty Dillon.
I'm gonna behind each one. I'm gonna just put little stars in our itinerary of how many titles we each have. Danny, you got to get one. Then every one of us will have had at least one title. But Danny,
push Danny to the win.
I like Tennessee football. We don't win championships anymore.
Well, pretend it's what, 98?
Did they win at 98?
I think they did, right?
Technically, they won 99, but it was a 98 season. But yeah.
Either way, pretend it's the 90. Party like it's 1999. Go full Prince.
We still have lots to get to, Jarrett. As much as I'd love to sit here and celebrate my victory for the next hour, let's see. Do we want to briefly touch on start times were announced today?
Yeah, I can pop all the schedules.
Throw up those graphics real quick. I haven't really looked at it. I don't have an opinion, but yeah, all the start times are available.
The Cup ones, apologies if it's too hard to read for a lot of people. So the big part is not even the start times, I think, but Big Fox and Big NBC races. Big Fox will be Bowman Gray, Daytona 500, Atlanta, COTA, Talladega. That's it. The rest are FS1. And then Big NBC will be Daytona, Talladega, Martinsville, Phoenix, rest are USA Network. So only 8 points races are on broadcast television. Danny, you pointed one thing out before the show that I know you're going to enjoy. I won't be able to be there because of the time of year it's at, but it's a pretty big deal for the local crowd here.
Yep, Nashville Super Speedway going to be at night. That's, with the Coke 600 and the All-Star race, that's 3 weeks in a row of night races. How about that?
Yeah.
And then I'm glad to see Atlanta become a night race again. There's a fair amount of night races, honestly, for this year. You got Richmond at night.
Interesting, late in the season, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time start time for Las Vegas on USA Network, since they won't have to worry about getting in line with football. So that one,
yeah.
I want to also say this 8 p.m. start time for Snowman Gray.
It's gonna be so cold. Wear a jacket.
Well, I looked ahead.
8 Eastern. Oh my gosh, that is going to be late. That's going to be cold.
And I looked ahead, because they have like advanced, historical forecast for it. Do you know what the temperature is supposed to be on average at the start time of this race?
Like 30 something.
Chilly.
Almost. So I put it down because I keep it down there for next year. 42 windy, 35% chance of rain or precipitation. And it can get down at that point historically, by the time the checkered comes out, historically it can get down to as low as like 25 to 20 degrees.
We got to have chains on the tires. Goodyear, get on it.
So Snowman Gray. Is there anything else we really can point out here that is really big that we've noticed? I noticed the Prime and TNT start times are actually a lot earlier. Like Chicago, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 local time. That should, I think, with a 75-lap race, should completely avoid when the superstorms roll in.
No, Jarrett, they'll find a way. Mother Nature will find a way.
Life finds a way.
Best they can do is hope that it's kind of like it was this year. I looked up what was Winston-Salem weather on February 2nd, 2024, and it was a high of 59, nighttime low of 45. They better hope it's that again.
That would be beautiful.
Crossed. Move to Xfinity here. This one's a little easier to see because there's less races to look at. So everyone on the CW, there's not too many big time changes from last year I'm looking at. Night race for Nashville again. That's going to be very big. I'm just looking through for those going to Rockingham, 4 p.m. Eastern time start time that Saturday. So there is that. There's probably something big I'm missing.
Screenshot chat for later.
Gateway will be a night race for Xfinity. So that's pretty big.
Happy to just see them back there.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a really fun race. And then the playoffs stay pretty much the same as last year. CW had it this past year, so that's not going to really have the biggest changes. Like this one's probably the most static schedule of all of them when it comes to start times and stuff, I'd say. And then trucks. This is the one I have a bit of a discrepancy with here. We have 3 truck races on Big Fox compared to 4 points races for Cup on Big Fox. To which I'm like, can we just swap those, please?
That's funny.
So we have the Big
Truck's
Fox.
Going to outdraw Cup some weekends.
The Big Fox races, I'm looking at it now. It's so damn tiny. I apologize. I was watching on TV at home. Our Homestead, Michigan, and Lime Rock.
I'm sorry, but Daytona trucks should still be on Fox. All Daytona
Lime
races
Rock
that Fox has, obviously not CW. All Daytona races should be on Fox, in my opinion.
Well, Lime Rock Park on Fox is wild, but good for them.
And here's some other interesting little factoids. We do have noon starts in here. We have Michigan on Big Fox, noon start. Darlington to start their playoffs will be at noon. Same with New Hampshire. These being Saturday races, probably to be avoiding football.
Michigan Central Time, that's going to be an 11 a.m. start.
No, wow. Michigan is Eastern, I thought.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is
it?
Yeah.
It's like in that
northwest of Tennessee.
It's in that weird range where like Indiana's at, where it's Eastern, and so it's
Wait,
just
yeah,
weird.
wait, someone in the chat, is Michigan Central or Eastern time? I would have thought it was Central time too, but now you might be right. It is Eastern.
It's Eastern.
Oh wow, yeah, they're saying it's Eastern.
But
Yeah, that's
Weird.
But
that's
you
weird.
got to think like, it is surprising though. But it's probably I have a feeling too. Some of that probably is for light. Open up the biggest window possible. I mean, the Cup one is an earlier start time too for light. I'm thinking. I'm starting to see if there's any other major changes, but a bit more night races from what I could tell. Rockingham will be 5 p.m. Eastern time on a Friday of Easter weekend. So there's that to look at. Talladega got moved back a little bit. I noticed a lot of the Friday start times later in the year are like 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, like at the Roval, Talladega, ones like that. So it's like you're gonna get out of school and immediately come home, and NASCAR will be on TV for you.
Love that.
But I think that covers the big parts of it.
Yeah, there you go. Good look at the schedule. Hope you guys screenshotted so you can go back and review start times, networks, all that good stuff. Jared, I think we should do the random driver of the week before we do our prediction segment. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. Seeing how
they locked it up early
a long time
on.
ago.
Yeah.
They probably I wonder if they're just running up the score now, how many they can run it up to.
They're up to 655.
If they get to 700, I will come to their homes and personally thank them. I will shake each of your hands.
Well, hide the chat. I'm going to have to hide the chat too because I didn't get a chance to write them down, so they're all on my phone, the facts for it.
Oh, beautiful. All right.
So
hide in the chat.
Yes.
All right, so Danny is one behind, right?
Yes. So
Best I can do is tie, or you can win it all.
We'll have to do like a tiebreaker. Do something fun.
I don't have another driver.
Rock, paper, scissors to decide it.
I don't have another driver ready to go. But yeah, Eric is up 14-13 on Danny. Eric's been on a heater 3 in a row with Buck Baker, Dawson Cram, and Morgan Shepherd. So you can't even say that I'm like catering to anyone because it's all over the place. Connor got the quickest ever a couple weeks ago with James Hilton. Again, not even
Still
upset.
Insane.
And Danny, it's been 5 weeks now since you've won with Martin Truex.
You got this,
Jr.
Danny. You got
You're
this.
due.
My brain of drivers has just gone there lately.
All right, let's get it going.
Do it.
I'm gonna scroll to it.
Is this one really hard, Jared? Is this a really hard one to end the year? Can you give us that hint?
I'll let you decide on your own. I will say first hint. I actually have had this random driver set as the season finale random driver since the end of July. For what it's worth. This random driver made their first Cup start before their first truck start. This random driver's first truck, Xfinity, and Cup start, I'd have to double check, but I believe are all in the same year, within a year of each other. So there's that. This random driver ran for Venturini Motorsports in every one of their ARCA starts. So, good equipment there.
Okay.
This random driver only ran 4 ARCA starts, with career finishes of first, second, and first.
That's what you're supposed to do in those cars. Okay.
I will let you know there are not many facts, so you might have to start guessing pretty quick.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, I should let you know.
Beautiful.
This random driver's middle name is Thomas. I'm like waiting for the dun 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 dun.
I got nothing.
This random driver ran the numbers 19, 29, 54, 59, and 66 during their truck career.
Trucks. Wait, can you say those one more time?
19, 29, 54, 59, and 66. 66.
Chase Briscoe.
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Damn it.
One off the board for Eric. Danny, you have any guess?
You said they ran their first Cup race before their first truck race, but they did run it in the same season, right?
Correct.
Oh, why did I guess that then? That was
I'm
stupid.
struggling to remember much about that year, but I know that this driver would have ran at least in Cup and Xfinity their first year because they did some part-time. Did you really do Joey Logano?
Is that your guess?
Yes.
It's right. You got it.
I was thinking, like, did this man really pick Joey Logano?
I picked
I didn't think
Logano back in like
66 truck. I forgot
Well,
about that.
the ARCA stats kind of gave it away to me as well. But then,
I kind of forgot. I honestly forgot he drove for Venturini back in the day. I bet it makes sense because he was in the Toyota system. I just like
so.
forgot about it.
I was
I was just thinking, surely he didn't actually pick Logano.
See, I
That's
thought the middle
hilarious.
name would give it
I kind of
away.
had it for a little bit, and I was like, is that his middle name, Thomas?
I did not know.
the
His
next
dad's name
clue-
is Tom.
The
so
next
that
clue
makes
is going to
sense.
be his middle name was named after his father.
That might. Well, I still would not have got it, but that's a
So
good one.
I had it for a little bit, but I was thinking, surely he didn't actually pick Joey Logano for this.
So
He had it since July.
in the words of whoever the 38 was, spotter was, maybe it was Brett Griffin for all I know. It's a damn tie. Back when
Disgusting.
David Gilliland tied Jeff Gordon for the pole, I think in like 07 at Talladega.
Was there any hints that you still had that we would have really gave it away?
First two Cup wins were viewed as controversial. Fuel mileage win, then moving Mark Martin out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Won both the Clash and All-Star race twice. Ran for four different Cup teams during his career.
That would have helped.
Won every one of his championships under the same system. So that's one. There was one I was like recently posted on Instagram and X a video of hatching chickens in his house. You know,
I missed that one.
it would never be an NWP episode without us having chicken spammed in the damn chat.
Yummy.
Wait, hold on a second. What four Cup teams was he with? I'm confused now.
So
Yeah,
of course
I'm
there was
lost.
Penske, there was Joe Gibbs Racing, and then he ran with Hall
I know the
of Fame
96
Racing.
he was with them.
Then there's like one more. Hold on,
I don't remember.
I'd have to double check.
'Cause I know
Again.
in 08 he ran a 96 for Hall of Fame, but he also ran an 02. I thought that was a Joe Gibbs one-off car.
Double check. Might have been four numbers. I might have said that one wrong. Luckily we didn't get that far. I'll double check. Somebody in the chat might be able to let me know if I fudged up.
Welcome to NWP this late, where we argue about Joey Logano's history.
President Grover Cleveland is in the chat spamming rooster emojis.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Wow.
Cockle-doodle-doo.
Things I
The
never
cow
thought we'd
says
see.
moo.
We should have had fried chicken in this episode. It's the only way we could have ended this.
Fried
That would've
chicken and
been better.
croissants.
Instead, we can end with just a couple final segments, including our accountability segment. Jared, are you prepared to hold us accountable, or are you busy?
I'll hold you accountable. I think it was numbers, and I just wrote it down wrong. Luckily, again, we didn't get that far. Let's do it. So the prediction segment. We are reaching the end of the year. We're going to keep track of career numbers too, on top of all time of each season.
But Jared had the best percentage this year for sure.
Yeah. Even a bunch of my like wrong ones still got canceled. I didn't realize how many predictions I made that would be for the end of the season. So of course, each host makes up to 3 NASCAR, motorsports, or show related predictions. We'll keep track each week of the right and wrong ones. We'll try and keep them concise, and within the next 2 to 3 years, we can fudge a little bit either way on that. I'm gonna let you guys know the accountability session is gonna be a bloodbath for all 3 of us. It's rough.
Lovely.
I'll start first. I had to get a smaller font for this for each of us, by the way.
Jesus.
So the ones I got right: Sheldon Creed would not get a win in 2024. Yay. The TV ratings for the Cup finale. Now I think this one is actually a bit better of a prediction, seeing how far up the last 5 weeks have been. I said would be within 3% of last year's. Was right. Said Team Penske would win the 2024 Cup title. I said that before Ryan Blaney got in, so there is that. And then I said there'd be less cautions in the 2024 finale weekend than 2023, and that there'd be at least 1 overtime finish in the championship weekend. So those are the ones I got right. Now for the bloodbath that I got wrong. I said there'd be 1,000 or more caution laps in the 2024 truck season. There were not. There were way, way less. I said the CW Xfinity races would be up in average year over year from the NBC Sports section last year. It was down like 1.4%, so I was close, but not right. I said Noah Gragson would a Cup race. Nope. I said Austin Hill would be in a fight this year. No. I said Todd Gilliland would score a top 5 finish. No. He got none. Said Kyle Busch would retaliate against Corey LaJoy. No, Corey managed to get further back. I said there would be at least 2 more blown engines for JGR with like 12 races remaining. They didn't blow a single damn engine the rest of the year after blowing like every week for maybe 5 or 6 straight. It's like, damn, I wish I would have made that sooner. I said there'd only be 1 truck race on Big Fox next year. They put frickin' 3. And I said Josh Berry would have an 11 DNF season with like 4 races to go when he had 10.
Dang.
He didn't get a DNF. Oof. Ugh. Eric, your accountability.
Oh, no.
You got 3 right here. It said Christopher Bell would be the winningest JGR driver. He tied for it, but I think
it counts.
Count it.
We'll
count it.
That's a hint.
Stop the count. Said neither said neither Denny Hamlin or Joey Logano would wreck Austin Dillon this year.
Yep, no revenge there.
And you said this before the playoffs that Justin Allgaier would win the Xfinity title. So great prediction on that.
God, I said that. Hell
That was
yeah.
a great prediction. On the bad side, you said the 4 or 14 would be hit with an L1, 2, or 3 penalty this year. And you said that at like the start of the year.
I don't know why. I just like
Because-
Shoothouse is going to go down swinging. They're going to do something screwy and get busted.
Eric, I'm already forgetting. Who'd you pick for the race, for the Xfinity race this weekend?
I wound up with Almirola because Allgaier was taken.
You didn't stand on business.
I couldn't. I wish I could have.
Chat took Allgaier.
Yeah.
You said Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse would have another incident this year. They did not. Damn. You said there would be a 1:30 p.m. Eastern time or earlier start on the 2025 Cup schedule. The earliest is 2 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, man.
So close. You said Kyle Busch would win a race this year.
When did I say that? Oof.
You said MTJ would win a race this year.
That I still am a little surprised did not happen.
You said Alex Bowman would finish 5th or 6th in points. I believe he finished like 8th or 9th.
Sadly, he didn't get a chance to try for that.
I think he was hurt by the fact that guys like Larson Bell
Yeah.
missed the championship 4 because they vaulted ahead of him in the points because of that.
You said JGR would win the Xfinity Owners Championship 1 spot away.
1 spot.
And you would have got your Allgaier one right if that happened either way too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you said Steve Phelps would say, "We like what we are seeing in the state of the sport."
I was hoping, but he just never quite got those words.
I think he got
exactly
as close
out.
as he could without getting there.
He did. I feel like they're self-aware of the meme.
Yeah, he didn't say it.
And Danny, not much better. You said Joey Logano would win the championship. He is inevitable. You said Martin Truex Jr. would lead at least 1 lap in his final full-time race.
He did. Good job.
Good
Pole
job.
started off leading.
Yeah. You said Kyle Busch would regress in 2024, but still win 1 race.
Oh,
Ugh.
the butt gotcha.
You said Cole Custer would make a Cup start in 2024. I don't
I was
think
kind of surprised nothing happened.
I was too, like because we
Yeah.
knew he was moving up.
Nothing with Rick Ware even, which is weird.
You said there would be another public dispute in 2024 between Denny Hamlin and Marcus Smith. Never
I should have just
materialized.
said Denny Hamlin.
Oh yeah, you would have got that right in a couple weeks. You said I Show Speed would have a VIP pass to a 2024 NASCAR race.
This is one of the more weird ones, but I could have seen it happening.
I got to make more of those kind of predictions next year. You said Eric would have a video with over 1 million views between May and today.
I'm sorry, Eric.
Hey, I wish. Shoot.
You also said Eric would finish 2nd in the NWP pick points.
Hey, that's what you deserve, Danny.
I'm not sorry on that one.
And then you said all 3 championship races would be won by Final 4 drivers, and then Allgaier pulled over at the last freaking turn.
Dang.
So, our prediction percentage on the year. I have won this year with a 423 batting average, 42.39%. Eric in second with 32.07. And Danny, you stayed over the 30 mark, 30.91 on the year.
But here's something important to note. Me and Eric have the same amount right at 34. I just had 110 come off the board. He only had 106.
Yes, and then I was 39 for 92 of those that came off the board. So I have a ton that
You've got a ton that are like baking in the oven for a few years.
Well, and I have a ton that will come off the board at the end of 25 and the start of next year. So like the off season.
You're playing the long game on us.
I am, which is probably going to bite me in the ass. But for now, I am the champion on that one. It's good to win something on this show now. It's been a while for me. But let's jump on in to our predictions. This is gonna be fun because
we're still making predictions.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll start us off. I'll say this, and to put this in perspective, we have actually went down in concurrent viewership at our premiere for like 4 straight years. So I'm banking on the chat coming in clutch, seeing how we're actually up 10% year over year this year from last year. So good job, y'all. Y'all came in force. So I'm going to say this. Next year's premiere will have a higher concurrent viewership than 2023's did. I think we'll have more than 619 peak watching. I think people are going to come out in force.
I love it. Let's do it, chat. Don't make Jared a liar. All right, my first prediction. This is kind of a downer once I'm going to get out of the way, but I just have a sneaking suspicion that Chandler Smith is not going to have a full-time ride at the start of next season.
See it. Mine's also a downer to start off. NASCAR will not change a thing regarding the point system or playoffs next year.
Ooh, that's going to be controversial. I'll tell you what, if there's like no change on the horizon going into next year's premiere, we're going to have a feisty show in chat going on because the NASCAR community is going to be just as hot then, I think, as they are now. Okay, I'll go with this one. NASCAR, like the word NASCAR, will trend on X in some way in December. I don't know how.
Prediction.
I don't know how.
There are some football teams who run like a NASCAR package. So
that could be that. It could be a rule change. It could be, God forbid, another Pioneer driver passing away and NASCAR's trend. It could be any reason, but NASCAR will trend, and I hope to God it's for a good reason. Watch, it's like Christmas Day, and it's like, there's a NASCAR race on FS1 because they always do that on FS1 or FS2. They'll play like a 2004 race on there. Like NASCAR will trend in some way on there.
My prediction is that Chase Briscoe and Ryan Preece, I'm betting he ends up at RFK, will finish better than Gregson and Josh Berry in points next year. So in the battle of ex-Stewart Haasers, I think Briscoe and Preece have the better points finish next year.
I mean, of those 4, I would put RFK equipment better than the other 2.
So I'm part of my prediction, I guess, is I'm betting on Preece ending up at RFK.
You're screwed if he doesn't get into that series at all.
Yeah, watch him not get a ride at all, and it's immediately invalid.
Chase Elliott will beat a college game day guest picker for Tennessee, Georgia this weekend. Ooh. That hasn't been announced who it is yet.
If he'd won the title, I'd say that's for sure like a shoe-in. That'd be like a good cross promo.
And I saw some people saying like, oh, he didn't want to do the Netflix show. But here's the thing. He gets a big payday, fly in, get a police escort, little golf cart over there, shake hands, give some pics, and either leave or disappear into a suite.
Is it in Tennessee?
It's in Georgia.
Oh yeah, that because
he didn't even have to fly in.
Yeah,
he could walk to the game.
He just get a police escort in. Yeah,
take an Uber.
I'd love to see. I listen. It's like I don't hate Chase Elliott. I want to see more of Chase Elliott. I want to see like more about him. So like I'm down for that, man. I'm down for that.
If he doesn't do it, I hate him.
Yes. Yeah, that's the last straw, damn it. That's a Mickey Elliott straw. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, no one college game, they'll pick some weird like, hey, well, here's Luke Bryan, everybody.
Here's this random hobo we found on the way here. Pat needed him to be here. I don't know why. He just had a feeling.
They're just gonna have whatever that Bulldog's name is, the actual mascot. They're just gonna put the little guy on the table and have him make the pick.
Hobo with a shotgun.
They're gonna keep bringing a dog like those little bowls. Okay, pick one. Which one do you eat out of?
Hey, yeah, that dog on like TikTok who like hits the basketball into the little hoop to like pick games and stuff.
I'll get my last one out of the way here. This is going to be one that'll be off the board sometime next year after we run it. I've had this one saved as my backup pick all year just in case like you guys snipe one of mine. So I finally have it here. I got to put it off the board. The winner of the 2025 NWP 400 will be a first-time e-ticket winner. I think we've had some really underdog winners before in that. I think we're gonna have a really good comeback year on that. Actually, next Friday I'm actually co-commentating another e-ticket with John, so that should be a lot of fun. Get the rust shaken off, ready to go. But I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think there's gonna be an underdog because next year I believe we're doing the next gens for our race. That's the next one on the cycle. So. All
right, my final prediction. Danny's I think he's gonna like this one. I haven't really paid attention to the poll or how the bracket even works, but my prediction is that Tennessee and Texas will meet in the college football playoff this year.
I'm leaning towards if we lose this weekend, we don't make it at all. But if we win this weekend, and I'm wrong.
If you lose a close one to Georgia, I think you might still sneak in, especially because it's at Georgia.
They've got Georgia outside of the playoffs at the moment, though.
Wait, do they? How many losses does Georgia have?
They have 2, but Boise State gets the G5 leap over them, even though they're actually behind Georgia. They get in above Georgia.
My bad. I thought Georgia was still ranked top 5. I missed
No,
whatever happened last week.
They're ranked number 12, and they're the last team out.
Then Tennessee, you guys go win. You're the favorite. Go dominate.
Oh, gosh, no, we're not the favorite.
I am so out of the loop on college football. I'm like, I just check in on Monday. And I'm like, where's Notre Dame? Where's Indiana?
I text Jarrett what he needs to know. He knows that Indiana is good and Notre Dame is good right now.
That's all I need to know. I don't need to know anything else. I don't care. I just sort of
tune in. Then you got
in.
John, who was give up on Miami, even though I've told him, dude, you guys still have the first round bye. You're fine.
No, man. No, bro.
It's over.
All right.
Hockey now.
Are we, Danny, you got one more?
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
going to like this one, Jarrett.
Ooh.
Jarrett will reach 100,000 subscribers before the 2025 Coke 600.
Let's do
You're
it.
going to have one take off, I feel.
What are you at right now, Jarrett? 80?
I think I'm like 81.6. So I'd have to get 18,400, 18,300.
Just got to go viral. Just got to say, give us a hot take.
Oh, jeez.
Let's force it. Let's be as inorganic as we possibly can.
So, like, my personal channel, I'm at like 27,000, like 1,400 on my trains channel. But I run some big channels professionally. One of them's at 1 million. I got another one that's like 72,000 growing. I'm trying to get that guy up to 100,000 here soon.
What's the secret, Danny? How do we game the algorithm?
I mean, well, I don't want to give away because my stuff is like political ideas. So I don't want to get into that.
Politics. That's it. We got to let's become a political show.
We're going political.
Let's get into politics after an election year. That's good for business. Absolutely.
I'll just go viral with it. Be like, Joey Logano is a sucker and a loser.
There we go. Yeah, that's the clip. There we go. That's
Andrew
the clip.
W. said the secret is gaslighting. Yes, let's do it. No, I take it back. My stuff isn't really political. It's like political and news and war. And
political adjacent, right?
War. Our show should
what
be war.
What is it good for?
Denny Hamlin goes to war with NASCAR?
With Marcus Smith?
That's a good title. Little clickbaity, not too bad.
I'll just turn into one of those AI channels that all the boomers fall for.
Oh, honestly, hey, if it means getting Danny's prediction right, I think you got to do it, Jarrett.
Dude, I hope I get it right. I have serious doubts on my ability, but I will do my best for you, man.
Well, we will root for you there. I guess you guys want to wrap up with sort of a quick, sort of year in review. This is the final show of the season. We've been doing this since January. Wasn't our first episode at the end of January?
Yep. It's been a year.
I think it was actually January 31st or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
It was like, it's been a hell of a year.
And Jared obviously has been on every show since the inception, basically. But for all of us, we do want to say thank you all for being here every week. Most of y'all, a lot of y'all are here every single week, I should say. And it's humbling and incredible, honestly, to see that kind of support. It's fun to have, as they're all getting on me. I guess I accidentally said a curse word. My bad. I'm over here commending the chat for being so great, so amazing. And they're over here mad at me.
Like, do you talk to your mother with that mouth?
My bad. But it has been a great year. And so we wanted to real quick, I know we're close to hitting 3 hours on this show. It's a long one. But before our final super chat stage break, we can kind of keep these like close one word answers. But I want to poll the three of us here, and chat, feel free to drop your answers. Who, in your opinion, guys, would you give the award to Driver of the Year?
Doesn't have to be a Cup Series driver per se.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
I'm going Christian Eckes, son.
I thought you were going to give it to Justin Allgaier.
I'll go Eckes, man. That was
a good pick,
best
actually.
truck season we'll probably ever see, or at least for a long time.
That's actually not a bad pick at all. In my head, I was thinking Cup, but if we do open it up, I think of all three series, Eckes had the most impressive run in his series. If I look at Cup, though, probably go to Kyle Larson with his 6 wins, though there was some inconsistency there. Want to shout out Chase Elliott with his 11th place average finish, but I said I'd keep it to one word, so I'm breaking that. Danny, who do you think?
I'm gonna go Tyler Reddick. He was the regular season champion, and he actually made a championship four. We haven't really seen that a lot in the last few years, if we're being honest. So for him to stand on business and get that far in a year where NASCAR may not particularly want your team to do well, good for him.
Good one. Finish of the year. What race had the most memorable finish?
Kansas Spring. That like basically 4 wide finish, closest Cup finish in history. And Texas is close, Atlanta's close, Homestead, but there's something about that Kansas finish, man, that just was special to me.
It was buzzing.
As good as Kansas was, I got to give it to Atlanta. That one was still very memorable, and it got a lot of eyes on the sport with that one, the 3 wide.
Oh, Lacey Vert.
Honorable mention to SVG versus Chris Buescher at Watkins Glen, but my pick actually goes to the Homestead finish with Reddick passing 2 cars on the last lap and pulling off a move that I don't think any of us thought was physically possible, frankly. And it wasn't, a late overtime restart that wadded up the field or a super speedway. It was a medium to long run that, it was like 10 laps or whatever it was, I think. But it was, it was spaced out enough that it felt more genuine. Good picks, though. A lot of great finishes this year.
Another honorable mention, real quick, to Sam Mayer and Sieg. Kind of wish Sieg won that one, but still.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Wreck of the year. What was the most memorable wreck?
I'm gonna go Corey LaJoie at Michigan because it was
flipping himself.
It was so unexpected. He did it himself. Like that one just. There's so many other wrecks that are like, oh, that's a big hit or this or that. Like, but that Corey LaJoie wreck, man, that was.
Yeah, it's kind of goofy.
It was funny.
The Josh Berry flip at Daytona was wild.
Yeah, that one too.
I'm trying to think of most memorable wreck. This is kind of, I don't want to say this one because Eric Jones obviously hurt his back and missed 2 weeks, but basically the entire Toyota fleet wadding it up at Talladega on their own was kind of wild.
And
like you just don't see that.
They still won the race.
Toyota still went on to win that race with Tyler Reddick. I feel like there are other more memorable
let's
notable
not forget
incidents.
Tyler Reddick flipping at Vegas and then still continuing to drive for a little bit.
An honorable mention to Blaney's hellacious hit in the duels. Like that hit was freaking huge. And he walked away just fine.
Yeah.
I feel like we had some big crashes in the Xfinity Series too. We're not really remembering.
Yeah. Oh, someone in the chat said the pace car. Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's just fresh on the mind.
Oh, the Richmond finish. Yeah. It could be for finish of the year or it could be for wrecks of the year. Well, okay, let's move on. Next one, breakout star of the year. What do you guys think?
Connor Zilich. He stole the headlines this season when he was racing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have not seen a young driver get as much media push and hype behind him like that for only a few races since Kyle Larson. Like, I got to go Zilich.
Yeah, that's actually, you've sold me, I think, on Zilich being probably the best pick for this one.
Hard to beat that one, but if I had to give one in lesser equipment or what should be lesser equipment, Carson Hocevar winning Rookie of the Year should be noted.
Yeah.
Great point. That's a great point. Good one there.
If he just got out of his own way, like I feel like he'd be a darling star of the fan base.
Just a few more here. Oh yeah, we'll do this one. Storyline of the year. I think it has to be the lawsuit that's been filed in the last few months.
Chartergates,
Charters,
lawsuit, all that.
Yeah, I think that has become the storyline. Unfortunately, it's an off-track storyline. Biggest surprise of the year. I'll say biggest, biggest, I guess it could be negative or positive. What do you think?
Ryan Sieg came on strong this year, and at the end of the year, raced against competition and equipment that was way, I think, above his pay grade and the equipment and everything that he had. and he still was out there competing for wins. Like he gets equal footing. I would love to see what he could do. So Ryan Sieg for me was just the biggest surprise. Like I knew he'd be like on that kind of cutoff line, but the fact that he legitimately competed for race wins, multiple, that surprised me more than anything.
Ryan Sieg's not a bad pick. I feel like on the Cup side, you could say I was impressed by Todd Gilliland early in the year. Harrison Burton winning Daytona was kind of surprising. I feel like it's easier to pick the negative surprises. Like, I mean, Stuart Haas shutting down.
Yeah.
That wasn't. There was like rumors they could sell a charter or two, but like that wasn't. I don't think the idea of them mostly completely going out of business didn't really come up until start of the year. So I might throw that out there for negative surprise. Justin Haley turned a lot of heads. I don't think Justin Haley, I think the numbers for Haley this year don't look great, but he had a few great races. And so that he's going to leverage that now into a good opportunity with Spire is a little surprising, honestly, considering where he was a year ago, basically out of a ride.
I mean, let's just say it, the champion, because that man was out of the round of 8 and then luck happened and he won a championship.
That's a good one too. That's a really good one.
What was the biggest snoozer of a race this year? I think there's an obvious answer to this one as well. Bristol Night Race.
I'm gonna say Cup Spring Race at Martinsville. That race
Actually, that's fair.
A bore. I mean, I had a good storyline and that saved it, but like, I made it a point on this show after and the post race and everything like that. Before the caution came out at the end, we did not have a pass for position on the racetrack in like 40 or 50 laps. And the only passes we had of lap cars were like when Kyle Busch let the leaders by. Like it was dreadful for Martinsville standards. Like the Bristol Night Race wasn't much better, but I at least remember people passing in that race and being able to, whereas the Martinsville race, like that was like the point where I think NASCAR and them realized like we have to fix this. We cannot have this happen again.
We'll wrap up with sort of a more positive one. Looking ahead to 2025, what is either the race, the driver, the news, the storyline you are most either intrigued by, looking forward to? What do you guys think? Do you have any ideas there?
The young drivers in the lower series. I am so intrigued to see these drivers in new places, the ones that are coming back. Like I'm very excited with Xfinity and Truck. And I'll say this, race of the year for me this past year, Homestead is my favorite race since
it was a good race
since Chicagoland 2018. And I was at that one.
Yeah, I would agree.
That for me was as close to a perfect race as you can get because anyone could be happy with it.
Yeah, I like what you said about Xfinity. Some of those drivers, some of these stars coming up are going to be very interesting to watch. A lot of folks in the chat are saying the lawsuit, yeah, without question, what happens with 2311 in front row is going to be fascinating for sure. But on track, I look at some of the races next year. Year 3 of Chicago. Can they finally get a clean weekend with no weather? I feel like the vibes there are so good. Mexico City, how does that go? And what sort of international push does NASCAR consider next? I think Ben Kennedy, we've talked about him tonight. He's going to continue to have his work cut out for him. I'll be curious to see how Mexico City goes because NASCAR hasn't done something, the Cup Series hasn't done something like that in, 20 years. And NASCAR hasn't been to Mexico in 15 years or so, right? So it's going to be different. I'll be interested to see how that goes.
What about you, Danny?
Sorry, I was getting distracted by something. We're still on the snoozer, right?
No. This is what are you looking forward to next year?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I got distracted about a work message. It's anyways. What am I looking forward to most next year? Seeing if Alex Bowman can bounce back from the way this sad year ended.
I feel like both Bowman and Elliott ended this year strong, even though they didn't make it to the championship that was partially because they didn't have the playoff points. But if they start next year how they ended this year, I think they'll both be title contenders.
Alex Bowman at the end of this year, maybe not necessarily in finishes altogether, but his end of this year reminded me of 2020 going into 2021 when he had that breakout year.
Yeah.
I could totally see him getting a couple wins. He got stronger as the year went on. It's clear he has recovered now fully from that back injury. And I'll say this bigger long-term thing I'm interested in, like Chevrolet. What exact car are we going to have in the long term with them since the Camaro is going to be gone? Like,
That's good. That's a good one.
You know, I know a lot of people are like, well, maybe they'll switch it like Cadillac or something like that. Like, I am very interested in the future of Chevrolet and NASCAR.
That's a great point, actually. I met a fan this weekend at the track who was adamant they should switch to Corvettes. And I was like, that might work, might look cool, might look a little goofy, might look Supra Xfinity goofy, but yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I know a lot of Chevy fans are genuinely very curious about that. Well, this has been a long, grueling season. It's been a long, grueling, but fun show. Really appreciate you all sticking with us tonight. We are going to wrap things up, wrap 2024 up with your final super chats. We left off here with Matthew. Look, he says Logano broke the 100% rule for the regular season. Sandbagging into the playoffs. I like that. Bruce Morgan, thank you for the generous super chat. He says, thank you guys for a great season of NASCAR analysis. Hope next year you avoid the it's Denny's year bandwagon. Sad Phoenix ended with Logano's win. He's so unpopular it will likely impact ratings and playoff integrity. I think Logano's unpopularity has certainly played some bit of a role, but real questions, real debate going to carry over through the entire offseason. Calling it now. Next year is Denny's year. I'm already on the bandwagon. No, I'm just kidding. NASCAR Fanatic, thank you for the super chat. Says NASCAR will definitely make sure Logano wins as many as possible. He's NASCAR's favorite driver. I haven't heard that one before. That's a new one. Gavin Adcock, thank you for the 5. I would prefer having the Latford system back, but a 10-race chase is a middle ground I would be perfectly happy with. I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat right now. The Outside Line says, regardless of the system, it's still hard to win. Regardless, 3 championships. It's still hard to win regardless. 3 championships regardless. So the system is not the problem, in my opinion. I know my computer was crashing on me early in the show, but I hope we did make the point that what Joey Logano has accomplished these past few years is still extremely impressive. It's not fluky. It's not random. Like, they know how the system works and they have exploited it to their advantage. It's still challenging to accomplish what they've been able to do. Clutch wins every single year, it seems. Jacob, a lot of super chats coming in. Thank you guys for the support this year. Can't be mad about the Martinsville controversy if you didn't defend Parker Retzlaff at Daytona with KB. I think we all did defend Retzlaff, to be fair. Making like one of his only cup starts there, being told by Chevy what to do at the end. Like I don't think it was maybe Mark Martin who said it, that like Chevy's not going to do anything for his career big picture. So he's got to look out for himself and get his best finish possible, try to put himself in the record books. And that's what he did. Can't blame him for that. Lawson Murphy, thank you for the 10. Logano will have a Kyle Busch downfall by 26 like Kyle Busch from 2020 to present. I can't see Logano continuing with this because the format was to have a new champion year in, year out. Good point. But Logano has proven resilient. He's got 3 titles under this format. I don't think anyone expected that. So he's already been able to withstand the way the format's currently lined up. NASCARson, always good to see you. Hey, NWP guys. Phoenix, trucks, yay for my home state, Wisconsin's Ty Majeski. Xfinity, finally, Justin Allgaier is a champion. Glad Stewart-Haas won in their final start. And then they also said, Cup in person, racing was better, but had less crashes and passing through during the entire race. Logano does it again, even year. Absolutely. Thanks for the summary. Hope you enjoyed the race, NASCARson. Alexander says, if Jeff Gordon won the 2015 title, would people still question the format? It's a fair question. 2015, though, was, I think, a divisive year or finish just on its own because Kyle Busch had missed 10 or 11 races, whatever it was, roared back to still win the title. Like, I think Jeff Gordon winning with the year he had, didn't he only have one to win that year? It was that Martinsville race,
and he had very few top 5s. Like, he had a lot of top 10s, but he was nowhere near like a what do you call it, an elite driver that year.
Yeah, it would have been called into question, but for very different ways than it was already called into question by Kyle Busch winning it, I guess. Joshua Pate, thanks for the 10. I like Steve Letart's idea for the playoffs. Winners only, regardless of number. Then 7 races, points only shootout. Final round is 4 drivers, points, no lock-ins, bonus points, regular season, blah, blah. Yeah, I like Letart's idea. Okay. It's again sort of a hybrid between the elimination style and the 10 race chase. I don't like when to get in. Like, I don't like the idea that the playoff field is only drivers who won. I do think, because in that case, like if like he's basically saying points don't matter in the regular season. All that matters are wins, which, okay. So if I finish second or third, that means absolutely nothing. I don't like that. I don't like the idea that there's literally one winner and 39 losers every week. Like, no, 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 no. One of the things I like about NASCAR is that, hey, a top five is a good day. It means something. It's not as important as a win, but it still means something in the big picture. So I don't like that. I like the rest of his idea. I don't like his way of qualifying for the playoffs at all. Keenan, thank you for the 5. Logano was 15th in points in this format before winning Nashville. Not deserving of champion, in my opinion. I like the top 12 in points idea. Yeah, certainly. If you're not top 12 in points, odds are you're not a legit championship contender. I know Logano wasn't top 12 in points. He did get that win. He was top 10 seeding, I guess. Yeah, I think everyone mostly agrees 16 feels like a large number. They do it for sponsors to make them happy. But yeah, people for 2. We need a Final Four race to decide the regular season champion. Like at the end of the regular season, like that Daytona regular season finale is like a Final Four for. No, 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 no. Let's not overcomplicate the regular season any more than we have to.
NASCAR's like, write that down, write that down.
No, no, don't do that. NASCAR, no, don't do that. NASCARson, another super chat says, hey, NWP guys, you're my new NASCAR news channels in 2025 for race recaps. NASCAR is getting more and more confusing with the charters. Time to change normalcy. I don't know exactly what that means. Maybe just get less complicated. The business of NASCAR is equally, if not more complicated nowadays than what happens on the racetrack. So glad our show and respective channels can hopefully help parse through all of the details with you guys. Got a super chat here from, I think, the Roman numeral 3. People hate paid drivers, and when the unicorn non-paid driver wins, they cry. Majeski was screwed by JRM, who wanted too much sponsor money from him. Are we talking about... Wait, okay, there's 2 things going on here. Is he suggesting that people are crying that Majeski won the title? Because I don't think anyone's crying that Majeski won the title. I think most everyone's like, yeah, he didn't have quite the same season Eckes did, but he was still really good. Like, I don't think anyone's looking at Majeski as some like completely invalid champion. But maybe I'm wrong. I know, Jared, I know you mentioned Eckes for sure. It stings that he didn't win it, and I get that, but I don't think any of us are discounting Majeski.
Majeski was still a top 3-4 driver on the year. Like,
yeah,
he was a very, very good, great driver this year. It's like, you know, that's why I said it's like we can kind of put it, I guess, in the same box in a way as the Cup side of it, but the difference between being like the 12th or 15th best guy and being a top 5 guy all year and being really good, like I think I don't think it's remotely the same personally. The only thing that kind of keeps it that way is just how good Eckes was.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I don't think anyone's trying to discredit Majeski specifically. We're not trying to put Majeski down when we prop up Eckes a little bit, you know. NASCARson again says, hey guys, thank you all for broadcasting this season. I look forward to many more of your channel broadcasts during the off season. Have a great holiday and God bless. Thank you, NASCARson. Enjoy your off season as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a stream next week or soon where I have the chat help me create what their perfect NASCAR schedule is. Like, and they decide everything, number of races, how many races each track gets, what kind of points format we have, laps, all of it. Just let them run wild. I'll be the arbiter of which they pick and all that. Like, I think all of us have some pretty cool plans for the off season for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun idea. I love that. Still coming in here. Antar Das says NASCAR lost what little to no legitimacy it had. NASCAR can die as an entertainment series unless they change the format to become a sport again. Strong words from Antar Das, but as we've discussed, yeah, I think more than likely there are some edits at the very least to the format that need to be considered soon. Robbie, thank you for the 10. Unless they add more network races year over year, like the 2015 to 2024 deal, the only reason why we see more FS1 and USA races is because they're trying to save those channels with all the cord cutting. Yeah, NASCAR picked money over exposure ultimately. Fox, NBC were willing to spend an insane amount of money. Somehow, despite lower ratings, NASCAR got a more expensive, a more a lucrative TV deal, and that's solely because some of these networks are desperate to save their cable channels. I think that's exactly what it is. So I think that's a fair analysis, Robbie. Steve-O says the scary part about Logano winning his third title is he's only 34. We could be looking at our next 7-time champ if they keep the championship at Phoenix. He's in his prime right now.
Rewind to the beginning where Eric was dropping out of the call.
Yeah, I don't think he gets to 7. I would say I think he gets to 4, 5 even, man. That's Danny was earlier trying to count off how many more even years he has left. That could be it. I don't know. Rowdy8 Diecast says, even as a KB fan, I had fun with this season. Went to 7 races, including the 600, Brickyard 400, Bristol Night Race, and Martinsville Fall. On to next season. Glad you enjoyed yourself, Rowdy8 Diecast. Hopefully your boy has a stronger season next year for sure. Crash the Hedgehog. There are non-cup drivers in the Hall of Fame. It's possible. Sam Ard was a nominee, and Herschel McGriff is a Can-Am lifer, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not disputing that. I mean, Mike Stefanik was a modified driver, but like I said earlier, he did something insane. Like he was unbelievable modified. Like nobody could match his record. I just think Allgaier needs to, if he wins another Xfinity title, let's have this conversation. But one Xfinity title, I don't know that that's enough by itself. I mean, yeah, he's got some wins. You know, he's average. If you look at his career, he's averaging like less than 2 wins a year, something like that. Like I don't think he's I love Justin Allgaier. He's great. Not a Hall of Famer in my opinion, but I know Jarrett disagrees at least a little bit.
That's a fun part of the show. Like that's the funny thing. Like I think we talked about it last week.
The chat disagreed. 60-something% of y'all said, yeah, he should be a Hall of Famer.
Well, it was funny. I think we noticed a few comments last week where like, wow, do these guys really not like each other? They disagree a lot. And it's like, no, that's the whole fun of the show. Like I would hate it.
Sometimes I worry. Yeah. Sometimes I worry we agree too much, honestly. Like we disagree sometimes. I think that's what makes when we do disagree a little more jarring to people.
But it would be so boring if it was like,
Side note, dang, Arky BR in the chat says, dang, it's 1 a.m. here in Brazil when they're watching.
Woo! Wow. I will let you know, by the way, I did look it up. This is the longest NWP ever.
I was going to ask if we hit that.
So I did not realize this till I looked back. This is the first one that's broke the 3-hour mark.
It feels like it. My poor voice is dying, but we got more super chats to get through. Fans have been very supportive tonight. Dislocation says, I loved the Denny Hamlin versus Larry Mack beef. Why big Larry Mack beefing with just Denny? I saw some of the tweets. I have to go back and see if there's been any more.
The Daily Downforce admin is wanting to go to bed.
We'll get you there. We'll get you all the way there.
Jam Plays Games says 2018 me would call this a 10 out of 10 season because of the lack of a KFB win. As it stands, 2024 was a feast or famine. Controversies, great racing, aplenty. I would agree. It was. I don't know if we said this on the air, but it was before the show. We were talking about just how it was a fun year in many respects, but I think we're all a little exhausted right now. Like I'm kind of glad it's the off season. I just need a couple months to decompress from all the high tension, high stakes controversy week in, week out.
I was just
take a breath.
But I was just thinking, like, this is going to be a huge off season, probably for all of us, but especially for the top 2 people on the screen here, because by the time we come back, Eric's going to be married, and I'm going to like Riss is going to be over halfway through her pregnancy to me being a dad. So it's like we're going to be all 3 of us are going to be in a way different world position when we get back to doing this in January.
We will have real world experience come January.
Hopefully,
we will finally be adults.
Danny beat us to it. He's already married.
You guys are thinking, now that we're men.
Should we just come back with like mustaches?
We should.
Now that we're men. That'd be funny. I'll write it down and see if we remember it.
That's a good idea. I used to have that fake beard. I need to see if I still have that.
I haven't watched NASCAR in like 6 days.
It's been so long.
Throwback.
Jam Plays Games with another 2 said, also song suggestion for the video game Bad Outta Hell by Meatloaf. Ooh, I got Bad Outta Hell. Yeah, that'd be fun. Bobby Blair says song suggestion Domination by Pantera. Ooh.
Oh, I love that.
Couple from Shorty PJM here, still celebrating the Joey Logano win. Oh, defending Joey Logano here. Part 1 on Joey Logano's illegitimate, in quotes, championships. The previous format rewarded the best teams. This one easily rewards the best driver, because who else other than a top-tier team is winning in a season-long format? Well, this format does put the drivers in tough situations. They got to perform under pressure. Part 2 Only really HMS JGR Penske drivers ever got that chance. Only the best drivers on the best teams won championships. In this, the driver has to be clutch. 5 isn't. 11 sucks. Others aren't elite. Joey is. Woo! Oh,
Damn.
wow. Yo, wow. Geez, Louise. I mean, the 11 certainly fell off second half of the year. And I mean, Larson's team, they kind of blew it a couple weeks there in the round of 8. But yikes. Delivering a haymakers here.
The super chat had just come in.
I would be.
Oh no, Daniel here, dude. NWP from the delivery room. Iceberg won't miss. Yeah, you can't.
Chris would be mad.
She told me.
No,
is that
Virginia.
if
She would understand. His perfect attendance is on.
She
Is on the
told
record.
me if it was like a 5-minute blip in update or something, we can count that, and she's fine as long as it's like not imminent birth.
They're push.
But
She's like, honey, I gotta step outside for 5 minutes. They're in the chat. They're saying we're late. I gotta step out.
But she's like, yeah. She's like, you go live inside that room. Like the replacement rate will have. We'll deal. There'll be a family of 2 still. You won't be there. I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'm not dealing with that. I'm gonna stick right by that bed and just do as I'm told.
Good man. Weast, Virginia says we need a new point system for the pick points. Let's add a playoff system, right, guys? Right?
Oh, gosh.
How many do we eliminate and for what weeks?
Basement boy gets eliminated.
Danny has been eliminated.
It's like the Hunger Games. Cannon fire goes off.
We get the whole like, we'll just have a thing on the screen with our profile. And
Yeah, tribute. You know,
District Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, sorry. There have been a lot of super chats here. Everything's freezing up on me. Here we go. Napa Racing fan, more cable races. Skull emoji. We were making progress, had 20 cup races on network TV this year. A ratings dip is guaranteed. Don't forget ARCA Daytona is on Fox. Good for ARCA. But yeah, good point. These year-over-year ratings will likely take a small hit, but maybe Amazon will blow our expectations out of the water. You never know. Oh, this is an insane super chat that I'm now going to read. Another one from Shorty PJM. Michael Jackson's voice. Joey Logano. I don't know what that. And then Latoya says, "Okay, I could celebrate about Joey Logano more, but I'm going to defend him." I don't know if she left another super chat, but we'll see if we get some more Joey Logano defense.
She's going to defend him.
Apparently, maybe physically, like going to go be his bodyguard.
Do not slander him. I will come find you.
Oh yeah,
I will find you and I will kill you.
Bobby Blair says Eric cursed MTJ with his accountability. Damn it, Eric. Why? Oh, because I said he'd win. Well, I also said Justin Allgaier would win. I got that right. So who's really cursed? Not me. I don't know how to say this name. I think it's J02 says, first super chat, been watching y'all for years. Thank you guys for the great content. Hey, Danny, go Big Orange, right? Is that what GBO means?
Yeah, that's what it means.
Go Big O, go Big Orange. Hope y'all enjoy the offseason. Here's to 2025.
Shorty PGM said she's still typing up like 5 super chats. Is this gonna be like that one where you guys just
put into one?
Wait, how can you type 5? Are they in drafts? Can you draft super chats now?
Just leave them in the normal chat.
They're bookmarked and ready to go.
Mustang 2006. If 2311 still goes full time next year and beyond, my hot take and probably least likely prediction someday, Toyota will make 2311 a tier 1 team. They already kind of are through their JGR alliance, but you're saying they'd kind of exist independently. I mean, maybe. It's not working out well for Legacy so far, but long term, maybe. Maybe. Alessandro Sebastian for the NWP pick points, missing rings, chat 2024. Eric, this season got that Mamba mentality. Hell yeah, you got that right.
She followed up and said, yes, we genuinely draft them. They just have them set aside, ready to go.
Lord, that's amazing. FinApp, favorite nation to play in EU4 and ruler in CK3. Are these like video games?
I play Trains 22. What do you want from me?
I feel
I'm
old.
so yeah. What is EU4? European Union 4? They've made 4 of those. What happens if I go to Europa?
They couldn't even master the first one.
Europa Universalis 4? Is that a game? Okay. What about CK3? I'm looking this up real quick.
Must
Crusader Kings 3. Is that what that is?
Mustang
I've not played those.
2006 in the chat. Can we get to Thursday?
We might at this rate on the East Coast at least.
Jesus.
Yeah. Latoya, you don't have to leave super chats for every Joey Logano
Oh,
defense.
no. Yeah, you don't have to.
No. Yeah, I just saw that you put one. Please don't feel like
no.
we'll read him if you put him in the normal chat. I will feel bad. Okay, there we go. That's good. Okay. She's leaving in the normal chat too.
Okay.
Her follow-ups. Bobby Blair, fun year, guys. Here's to more in 2025. Hope to see you there, Bobby. Blake says, who won the pick points? Did I not see it earlier? Yeah, we kind of dropped it in at a random time. But I won. Sorry. Not sorry. Daniel here. The most memorable wreck was LaJoy season.
Oh, gosh.
Damn.
That's brutal.
The chat's not going to let us go to bed because they're just saying random stuff at this point, guys.
Devo, shock of the year, freeing the 8. Yeah, that was kind of a fun surprise story. Spencer Purcell, longtime viewer of the show, very generous super chat, said, you have made my Wednesday nights a lot better every single week. Thank you for everything this year, but it's time to say goodbye to 2024 and move on to 2025. Prediction for 2025, Ryan Sieg will win an Xfinity race. Book it, Spencer says. I agree, Spencer, and thank you for the very generous super chat and for being a great supporter of the show all these years.
I just realized something. If there's a jokier end to next year, the meme has already been written. Hey Patrick, guess what's funnier than 2024? 2025.
No.
It's gonna happen. Something stupid's gonna happen, and somebody's got to put that out there.
Yep, get that in the draft. Somebody get that drafted up. Denny Hamlin's unwanted dog, another 5. Thanks for all the fun times this season, NWP. I hope all of you and your families have a happy and healthy off season. Thank you, Denny Hamlin's unwanted dog. I hope you and your family have a wonderful and healthy and happy off season.
I hope Denny wants you this.
I hope Denny keeps you in the yard.
It's a Christmas miracle. They want me.
This is turning into a really sad Hallmark movie. Alessandro Sebastian, thank you for the 5. Danny B, will you be doing any streams in the off season? Maybe a race watch along or a Q&A stream? What do you say, Danny? Any ideas?
Never know what'll happen.
You just gotta keep your notifications turned on for Danny B Talks.
Keep them tuned in for Danny B Talks and Danny B Trains. Maybe go live there too. Never know.
Ooh. That sounds relaxing. Just like streaming while you're like, I don't know, waiting on trains to come by.
No, more like the game. You're just building a world.
I can't believe we're still live.
I figured you were out there like train watching.
Oh, I think Juris just walked in, didn't know that we're still going.
She thought we were done because we're usually done an hour before now, and I don't blame her.
Oh gosh, Mustang 2006. And one more thing, next year will be Bush supremacy. That is a bold take, Mustang, but that would be pretty crazy if it happens. Andrew Winslow says Alan is spraying Joey Logano with what? Who's Alan?
What?
I don't know. Who's Alan? Alan Gustafson? Who are we talking about with Alan?
I'm thinking of that scene in Jurassic Park 3 with the talking raptors goes, Alan.
Maybe that's what they're referencing. I'm not sure. But thank you, Andrew. Daniel again. Will Jarrett's hairdo change again next year? Maybe bald?
No, I'm gonna appreciate my hair while I have it.
Blue Jimmy fan, always good to see you as well. Blue Jimmy fan said, I'm so proud of watching you guys grow, making NWP a place of comfort to talk racing, and now seeing y'all begin families. It's kind of exciting. You put it like that. Whoa, I feel old. Hope we continue to make more memories in the new year. Thanks for the comment there, Blue Jimmy fan. Always great to see you in person and in the chat. Really do appreciate the support and the kind words. Isaac, random driver tiebreaker. Oh God. Okay. You ready, Danny? This random driver only started 4 Xfinity races before going to Cup and only has 2 Cup wins, but they're both crown jewels.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm like half asleep at this point. So what are you saying?
They started 4 Xfinity races before going to Cup. Only have 2 Cup wins, but they're both crown jewels. Paul Menard. No. Wait, no.
No.
Not Paul Menard. He only had the Brickyard.
I'm gonna be.
Do you know who it is, Jarrett?
No, I'm just having some fun on my end. Just don't worry about me for a minute.
Oh gosh.
Would it be? God, this is killing me. Jamie McMurray has more than 2 cup wins, so it's not him. Do you know who it is, Jarrett?
No, I'm having fun in my own world here.
Oh, okay. I can't see this. I can't see the Zoom
I
call. I don't know what's
Can't
going
see the
on.
chat.
I don't know.
I have no idea. Chat, who is it? I'm gonna look at the chat now. Herschel McGriff. No, what did they say? No. McDowell? Is it Michael McDowell?
McDowell?
He has the Daytona 500. He doesn't have any other crown jewels, does he?
I
No.
don't count winning the road course at Indy though.
No. Oh, maybe they are counting that.
I don't count that.
Maybe they say it's Michael McDowell. Anyway, oh well. Isaac, let us know in the chat if we got it right or if we're way wrong. Oh yeah, he says it's Michael McDowell, so I guess he's counting Indianapolis. All right, well,
I
well
don't
played.
count that. Neither of us got it if you
Y'all,
look at the chat.
I'm gonna be honest. Usually I edit the super chat segments out, but they've been so damn memorable for the Spotify side of it that I'm just leaving them in.
This is yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. And Shorty PGM still leaving super chats. I love the enthusiasm. Or not,
Nope.
it's not. It's Latoya now.
Latoya is doing it out of 8.
Okay, she's
Oh,
the
gosh,
permanent
okay.
8, so
All right, we're getting to the end then. We do appreciate the support. Bobby Blair also says, "Love you guys. Been watching your shows nearly every week since probably 2020. Hope you all have a safe and blessed off season. Looking forward to next season." Thank you for the kind words, Bobby, and always appreciate your support and seeing you in the chat every week. That's always a good time.
I just realized Latoya sent that number 2, not as a super chat. You're definitely not gonna find that one now.
No.
Oh, whoops. Bryce Sizemore again says next year is not far away. Hopefully, I'll be more locked in with NASCAR. Darlington was awesome. I can't wait for NWP next year. Love y'all. Thank you, Bryce. Really do appreciate the kind words. When did Jarrett? Did you send in a super chat? My feed just requested. Jarrett, what are you doing? You trying to keep us here?
I had to have some fun with it.
All right, so we got some from here from Latoya. First, playoffs. Get ready. It doesn't suck. It does rewards good cars, great drivers, great strategy, and mindset, and above all, consistency. Ooh, that last word. That's bold. That's a bold take. Ross Crashstain jumped in here saying, chicken? We're not talking chicken, Ross. I'm sorry. Not this time. Go back and rewatch literally all of our episodes if you want to hear us talk about chicken. All right. Back to Latoya. No driver, victim, or villain circumstance is at fault for the system. Vice versa, for the system not being the fault of stupid drivers. Examples. Oh my gosh. Richmond, Hamlin, the villain jumps the restart and Logano loses. Victim. Imagine that as Joey Logano's only chance, or Denny, not Denny's, nor system's fault. NASCAR is blind. I guess they missed the jumping the restart call. Richmond 2, the villain Austin Dillon dumps Logano and Denny. Do you blame winning you're in? Maybe. Blame the a-hole instead? Yes. A better and respectful racer wouldn't have done that. Okay, maybe that's true. We have a few other super chats in here. BGWX Chasing says, my fiance who barely watches the races picked Logano before the playoffs started, while I watch every week and picked wrong. I'm sorry to hear that, BGWX. Hey, sometimes you just catch lightning in a bottle, I guess. Sounds like your fiance had some strong intuition there. GN NASCAR fan says, I've been watching since season 3. Crazy how all of you were in the upper age of college kids and now you're solidly into young adulthood. Long live the NWP. I like that. Live NWP. We have changed quite a bit since this show first started. That is true. And GN has been there for most of it. Back to Latoya, though. Still defending Joey Logano, the playoffs. All right. Next example. Alex Bowman gets disqualified. He's a victim. Logano's in. But he had to be consistent to be in that position in case of a stupid slip-up on any team's part. Nothing to do with him. All to do with Hendrick. I mean, I agree with that. That's true. I'm just going to get the rest of hers out of the way here. Generally, one race, super speedway winners, points and stats show lack of consistency. Shows not good cars, shows not good drivers. It evens out come later rounds. Generally one race. Okay. Let me see how this wraps up. All those basically defended Joey Logano. All of those examples basically defended Joey Logano. That was partially the point. He is not a Mickey 3-time champion. He's fantastic. All-star win gave him momentum too. But lastly, and it hasn't come in yet. Wait, has the last one come in?
I don't think so. Oh, there it is.
I would make all of this argument for any and all drivers who would win trophies. My favorite Logano, my least favorite's Larson, Busch, Gibbs, Denny, etc. I love this format. Wow. Some good points in there. Some I was having a hard time interpreting, but some good points in there. some I would disagree with, but the passion out of our resident Joey Logano fans is
Much appreciated.
palpable.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the passion. Even if
Yeah.
I disagree, I like the passion.
Yeah. Okay, final few, folks. Appreciate you sticking with us. Steve-O, last one for the year. Awesome job this year, guys. Best media team out there. Y'all sponsoring a car next year. Is there any way I can get you to autograph my 78 from last year? I don't think we have any plans to sponsor a car next year, but you never know. As for autographing, if you have one of the 78 die casts, I mean, we'll all try to be at a few races. I mean, I go to a lot of races, so hopefully we can line it up.
If we can get it to us maybe by Nashville next week, we'll all at least meet up and hang out by then.
Yeah, we'll all be at Nashville. We all
Yeah.
have the chance. We can do it then for sure.
We can figure something out.
Yeah. Andrew W., this super chat makes the stream a little longer. Thank you, Andrew W., and you are correct. double zero music. Wov y'all. That's how it's spelled, so I had to say it that way. Wov y'all. Heart. Merry off season. And a happy Christmas to you as well. Double zero music. And finally, fitting, from Napa Racing fan, Merry off season and happy Christmas. I didn't read ahead. We had the same thought at the same time. What are the odds? That is gonna do it.
We could stay on an extra 7 minutes and have the longest stream ever on Eric's channel.
What stream did I do that was longer than this?
It was 2017, I think, like a heat stream or something.
Really?
I went
NASCAR heat for 3 hours.
During almost 4. It was 3 hours, 46 minutes, 42 seconds. I scrolled back like while we were doing super chats and other stuff on all our channels to see when the longest NWP was. And I realized, I'm like, well, okay, so it's the longest one of those ever. And then I realized on Eric's channel, I'm like, holy crap, like we're closing in on the longest like stream he's ever done.
You have one more super chat.
Shorty
Danny sounds
PJM.
dead.
To end the night, Bubba and Reddick after the race. Wallace, did you have fun? Reddick nods while hugging him in comfort. They genuinely care for each other so much. I really cried. Always so happy to be Bubba's fan. Yeah, 2311. Gonna hopefully take that next leap next year. Lawsuit pending, I suppose.
Say, what leap can they make out of the courtroom?
Yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. This was a show. Absolutely. This was one of the
This
shows
was the
of
show
all time.
of all time, everybody.
This is not
Yeah.
going to be the norm.
No, this was a season finale. We do appreciate the very generous super chats. Kept
Oh
us.
gosh, favorite paint schemes of the season. The Mountain Dew Cheetos car, whatever it was.
I got to go with Danny on that one. That was pretty badass.
Am I crazy? I didn't really like. Are you talking about the one that was like all black? I didn't like that one. Am I
Whichever
crazy?
one they ran this year, I don't remember. It was Mountain
There's
Dew.
another one that was like green. I think that was sort of similar.
I
That I
might be
liked a
thinking
little
of
more.
that one.
I don't know. It's fun. I like the logos and brands. Anyway, favorite scheme for this year. I'm actually working on that video right now. Nothing is like jumped out at me.
Hey, Milo Gunter, longer stream, he says.
I will say this. DeWalt, often my favorite schemes, they kind of let me down this year. They kept trying slightly different designs and just none of them look as good as the classic, just keep it simple. So
Yeah.
I will say that.
Oh yeah, does the Dell Jr. late model count?
Oh, that is a good one.
Oh, that if that counts, then yes, that has to be it. That was
Well
Also,
executed.
Did like the Martin Truex Jr. Homestead throwback to his 2017 scheme. That was pretty cool.
There were some good throwbacks this year. The Truex ones. I remember some of the Darlington, or some of the Busch Beer throwback looking cars look kind of good. Chase Elliott threw back to the National Guard scheme.
Oh, yeah.
Larson's Terry Labonte throwback, the Kellogg's. There were some good throwbacks.
The Wendy's cars this year were pretty cool.
oh
Yeah,
the
they were
Saucy
fun.
Nugs car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were pretty fun. Well, that is gonna do it for this show, y'all, and for another year of NWP. It's been a weird year in some ways. It's been a fun year in so many others. Plenty of controversy. We always enjoy coming on here to have these discussions live with you all, get you all involved. It's great. It's just great fun. This is what being a NASCAR fan is all about. I know from my perspective, it's nights like these I still feel like a NASCAR fan. It doesn't feel like a job as much as it just feels like all the conversation I wanted to have with my friends about NASCAR growing up that I didn't have, I get to have every Wednesday night now. It's really a dream come true. But yeah, with that being said,
I just realized as long as this has been, I got a prediction wrong. I said we'd have 1,000 people watching. We didn't hit that as long as we've been on.
We got just under 800 tonight.
we got close.
I'm surprised 430 are still here. By the way, you got one more super chat, Eric.
I see Latoya, Olive Garden celebration. Yeah, that's a good way to close it out. Bottomless soup and salad at Olive Garden for everyone.
Now let's go get thrown out of
It's
Applebee's.
another
GN NASCAR fan.
Oh, what is going on? Let's go get thrown out of Applebee's.
Good
Let's do it. Let's do it,
callback.
chat. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next year, late January. The Iceberg will be hosting. Subscribe to all these guys so you don't miss any future streams. Have a great off season, folks, and take care. See you guys.
And how about that $20? Hello.
Oh, and are we still going, Jared?
Yeah,
Did
we're
you
good.
get the
We're good.
address?
We're still going.
Oh, thank you. I can't read anything.
The
I'm like, I have
Oodles.
double vision. The Oodles, home from visiting mom in hospital. I leave you this and say thank you for all your hard work, bringing us the NASCAR. I don't know that word, but yeah, bringing us all the NASCAR stuff. Happy holidays. Stay safe and relax a bit.
NASCAR gossip, maybe?
Oh, gossip, probably. That's probably it. Well, thank you, the Oodles 69. And I hope your mom is doing well. And Evan Necula. So five card stud nothing wild in the sky's the limit. I don't know those
Has it
lyrics.
been 7 minutes, Jared? Did we hit that number?
Actually, we're only 2 minutes away now.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
maybe the outro is 2 minutes because we're signing off. Thank you all for the super chats.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.
Drivers!